Shakakanara asked. They are the 10 holy magicians, a group of 10 magicians who are said to be the 10 most powerful magicians in Fiori. Seats 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. 5 are terrifying, especially the 6th seat Makarov Dreyer, the master of fairy tale user of Titan magic that allows him to grow to sizes similar to a tailed beast, and the 5th Warad, a former god of Ishgar who possesses magic very similar to Shodame Sama. Ex-god? Ah, that's it. 4th seat Wolheim is a transformation mage who can turn into really powerful creatures capable of destroying a city. Just kidding, right? Saminuzuka wondered about what Jiraiya negotiated with her head. Continuing, the 3rd seat Draculos Hyberian, a vampire magician that allows him to control anyone. The 2nd seat is God Serena, a 2nd-generation dragon slayer who possesses 8 dragon slayer magics that for 10 years appeared invincible, until he said, and then threw a folder with several photos and files. That's all I got from Naruto: his magician file, a basic record of his missions and some images of his most outstanding fights. No one knew what to think about what had just happened. Jiraiya said that Naruto was one of the 4 dioceses of Ishgar, but he had already mentioned 3 of 4, and then he just threw out a folder with information on Naruto. The revelation hit them when they opened the folder. The first file had Naruto's mage card, and what was in there terrified them. Name: Naruto Mikazuki. Alias: the Dragon King, King of the Fairies. Affiliation: as of the Fairy Tale Guild, 10 Holy Mages, 1st seat. Guild mark: above the heart in red with a blue border. Failed missions: 0. Missions completed: 1001, none lower than S rank. Known family: 12 dragon princes, adopted brothers. Selene, the dragon goddess of the moon. Adoptive mother. Reading this broke Kushina's heart. Her son saw a damned dragon as his mother. On the Dragon King's island, Selene felt she had to kill a redhead somehow related to her beloved son for insulting his great existence. But that was impossible. The only redhead with a relationship with him was one of his daughters-in-law, more specifically Urza, who, according to what Naruto had told her during his occasional visits and letters to Dragon King Island, the aforementioned Urza was a lovely person. Note: dragons are more attracted to women with strong characters. Their definition of love of person fits closely with Urza's personality. Back to the archive. Known magics: 13. Dragon Slayer magics confirmed. 4 Devil Slayer magics confirmed. 2 God Slayer magics confirmed. Dragon Force confirmed. Motto: Impo. Sorry, I don't know the meaning of that word. For the power of my magic there are no impossibles. If before they were afraid of Fiori army, now that fear was redirected to a single man, a man who not only possessed the magic to kill dragons but also the magic to kill demons and gods. The next thing that terrified them even more was an image of Naruto in his dragon force. Terrifyingly hexy was what half of the women of the council thought when they saw it. Naruto had golden scales on most of his body and parts of his face with his fang and moon markings glowing blood red. Besides that, his long hair looked messy and spiky. Think of a DBGTSSJ4 but with golden scales instead of red hair, and with blonde hair instead of black, and obviously with dragon fangs and claws. Moving on to the next thing, which was the images of Naruto fights. Everyone was impressed. His fight against Gildarts Clive at 11 years old was terrifying. Both were clearly on the same level, and the final clash of Crush Evil, Spread the Truth, Fist of Truth versus the Sun Dragon's Devastation Fist. As proven, both ended up on the ground with the biggest smiles they had ever seen. His fight against the 10 Wizard Saints was to say the least terrifying. Seats 10, 9 and 8 were defeated only with elemental magic without any path of assassin magic with relative ease. They wondered what Sigram, the 7th seat, had done to leave him on the verge of death, and why during the fight it seemed that he wanted to tear his head off. Note: if they only knew, his fight against Jiro was less brutal, and the fight against Makarov Dreyer, the previous 5th seat, was undoubtedly impressive and made one thing clear: Naruto gets more powerful too fast. And that suspicion is confirmed when he faced off against Warad Sequin with his Ice Devil Slayer in a one-sided fight in Naruto's favor. Against Wolfheim he uses God Slayer of the God of Fire and demonstrates his superiority against the Transformation Magician. Draculos Hyberian was defeated by the Dragon Slayer of the Silver Dragon, and finally the Dragon Force and the 13 magics of the Dragon Slayer mopped the floor with God Serena, in a totally one-sided battle. Although the last image where you could see God Serena himself yelling at Naruto in the style of Guy challenging Kakashi was fun to watch. You see, Naruto is the most powerful man in Ishgar, and so we couldn't cause intrigue among the people. Why does Sensei say that? When asked by the child if he knew where Naruto Mikazuki was born, he replied, "In a rat's nest on the elemental continent that he doesn't talk about with anyone because it brings back sad memories, but he was saved and brought to Fiori by his mother Selene-sama, and here we see him as a hero for being as strong as he is humble." Note: Naruto told the guild about his life in Konoha shortly after his Fiori class exam in a post-Magician Saint interview, although they found it strange that he was 8 years older than he claimed to be. They did not judge him since it was understandable that he wanted to escape his past and live the childhood he did not have because of his parents. Although Gildarts mocks him by saying that he is so old that he hides under an illusion of youth, and the rest of Fiori only said that they lost the great man and magician that they gained and that the respect they had for him would not change. This killed Danzo's plans. He hoped to sow his anger among the magicians by saying that he was born in the nations, but if the brat had told, then he could do nothing more than hire the Balam Alliance to capture him and hand him over. Ha, poor fool, one of those 3 guilds, obviously Prayer 6, is loyal to him and the other 2 aren't stupid enough to mess with him without an advantage or a way to beat him without him having time to react, because they're afraid of him. For their part, Minato and Kushina just lowered their heads. This information only confirmed what they discovered shortly after the Jounin who were watching Naruto. They did not know he was the son of Minato and Kushina, told them that he had learned the tree exercise and walking on water in just 6 hours. Naruto was a prodigal. He was not a prodigy among prodigies. Mito, a so-called prodigy, learned those exercises in 6 weeks. She did have 5 times Naruto's chakra, but when they started to think about it, 95% of that chakra was Kyuubi's, not hers, and she was not able to access it at that time. And then when they saw the chakra levels of both, they were devastated even more. Naruto had 4 times Mito's chakra, which should make it impossible for him to control chakra, but no, Naruto, even at an early age, honored his motto. For him there were no impossibilities. If due to his stupidity and inability to give him the love he deserved, to lose the one who possibly would have been a very formidable shinobi that he could have even surpassed to the 4 Hokages at an early age, and from what they saw that suspicion was true no matter how much they wanted to deny it. A dragon is much more powerful than a Biju, and Naruto has hunted and killed 20 of them. If his stupidity handed him, or Fiori, to a formidable man on a silver platter. And worst of all was the impression he had of Konoha, the place where he was born. For Naruto was nothing more than a nest of rats. That would not be a problem if it were not for one thing: they were the rats. But they had to find a way to earn their forgiveness, not because they know that they do not deserve it, but they had to do it for Mito, who, although she was strong, her mental stability is questionable. The poor girl, after a whole year of depression, came to a conclusion to keep what little sanity she had left. It wasn't her fault that Naruto left. It wasn't Naruto's fault that he couldn't stand being ignored and belittled. It was her parents' fault. For their inability to love them both equally, and for not seeing how valuable Naruto was until he shouted out loud that he hated them and left. She lost her brother. She didn't get to see him grow up. She didn't get to make fun of his crushes, and she didn't get to have the dream every girl has of her older brother hitting and threatening her suitors. Well, her dream, but that wasn't the point. She didn't have a brother to play and laugh with, and that's why she closed herself off to everyone. And to everyone is everyone. After a year she didn't speak to anyone again, and every time her parents tried to talk to her, Mito would simply go to the library, take some Uzumaki rolls and go for hours, the only words she dedicated to them being a cold "I'll get stronger and I'll find my brother, see you later, Namikaze." Even when Jiraiya offered her the Toad contract with the excuse, "They will help you find," she dismissed him, saying that she didn't want anything related to the Namikaze that included the Toad contract and her father's techniques. Although after 2 more years she started calling him Heikage-sama, and Kushina called her Namikaze-sama. Tsunade was not very successful. In fact, after a verbal assault from Mito, it took the help of 3 ANBU battalions to get Tsunade out of the bar where Mito left her when she vented all her hearing and frustration on the slug Sannin. The exact words were, You could have made Kushina love us equally, but no, the old witch was too wrapped up in her pain of losing her boyfriend and brother to do it. At least you have where to cry for them. I don't know if my brother is alive or not, so don't come to me with forgive your parents, old witch. You are the one who has the least right to speak to me. Without a doubt they were daggers in Tsunade's heart, and she was right. As an Uzumaki she had the belief of family first, everything else later. But not because of her mourning taken to the extreme. She lost her last two precious beings that she had left. Naruto, the boy who made her laugh with his occurrences when he visited the village, was no longer there, and they did not know if he was alive or dead, at least until now. Already Mito, who now hated her as much or more than her parents, and that is saying a lot because she only goes to them to do missions, and in fact she even refused to take Genin because, in her own words, I don't want to see you more than necessary, Hokage-sama, and a bunch of brats will make me do that. And above all, they will take away my time to find Neru and I. What if we invited them to the Chunin exams? From what we know about dragons, they're greedy beings, and I gather the Dragon Slayer must be similar, Danzo suggested. In different parts of Fiori Natsu, Gajeel, Sting, Rogue, Wendy, Cobra, Laxus, God Serena and Naruto had an impulse to kill a one-eyed mummy with a god complex, but quickly dismissed it as they didn't know someone like that and continued with what they were doing. It could work, but the chances are really slim, Jiraiya said. We have to try, we have nothing to lose, Minato said, then let out a tired sigh. For now, what was said here remains a Class S secret, and anyone who speaks will be accused of treason and executed immediately. For now, the meeting is over. As Hokage-sama commands, the entire council said. After all the council members left, Minato and Kushina remained looking at the photos of their son, or at least those of his fights, with sad smiles. Sensei, could you please get us some photos and information about your daily life? If you don't come back, at least I'd like to know if you're happy, said Kushina and Jiraiya. As far as I know, he has a couple of pretty girls he's dating. I don't know if it's a polyamorous relationship, or just occasional dates. Oh, I hope Sochi-kun ends up with a pretty redhead like his mom, Kushina said with an optimistic smile. Fiori with Naruto, Urza and her group. Ah, Chu. You're fine, Urzaheim, you're not one of those who get sick. Don't worry, it's just that we're on a ship heading to Galuna and I might be a little allergic to the dust on the ship, Urza replied, to which Naruto nodded, although due to being a DS he didn't really understand the term allergy. Urza-san has allergies, Juvia said with a nervous smile. Well, we all have one, or should I remind you that you're allergic to nuts? Don't remind Juvia of that. Juvia just wanted to make conversation. We've been sitting here in silence for 5 hours and Juvia hates silence, it's terrifying. I actually agree with Juvia-heim on that, silence is terrifying, Naruto said, making both women look at him with a "you're afraid of something" face. Are you afraid of something? If I wasn't afraid I would be an idiot. Courage isn't the lack of fear, it's the ability to keep fighting despite having it. I was afraid in the Tower of Heaven, Urzaheim, afraid of losing you, afraid of losing grandfather or the children, and I was never more scared in my life than when what you know happened. I thought I had lost you, that I hadn't been strong enough to take care of you, Naruto said with his fists clenched. Even after all those years he still couldn't forget the Tower of Heaven. He couldn't forget the terror of not having been able to protect Urza. He still blamed himself for not having prevented her from losing her eye, and he would have continued blaming himself if it weren't for a slight pain in his back caused by the hard metal of Urza's armor pressed against his back. I don't blame you. I know, it's just that I have a feeling that I'll soon have to face my past demons, he said, then turned his gaze toward the elemental nations. Back then you were alone, today you have the closest family in the entire world willing to fight for you, Urza said, then leaned her head against Naruto's back. Urza-san is right, my love, Juvia will fight for you and the master, and the others will too, Juvia declared before standing next to Urza and hugging Naruto from behind. That's what worries me, he thought as he looked at the red and blue hair of his first two companions, those who along with Mira had a past similar to his, abandonment and sadness. After a few minutes watching both, Naruto turned his body and hugged both, letting their heads rest on his chest, making them smile slightly, while he smiled a little less before turning his gaze towards the nations with his serene expression with a thought. Minato, you and your family took my childhood away from me. This time I will not allow you to take away my life, my family, and my home that he built a foundation of effort and hard work. This time I will not run. This time the Dragon King will fight with all his power to protect what is his. And if for that Konoha must burn with you and everyone within its walls, so be it. And then redirect his gaze to the two girls who now seemed to have slept, standing up, using his chest as a pillow, making them laugh a little, before using his telekinesis magic to move the three of them to a more comfortable position. He couldn't blame them. It had been 2 days without sleep, mainly because of Ichiya, who didn't understand Urza's refusals and her constant screams of, "I already have a boyfriend. Get some sleep. When we get to Galena I'll wake you up," he said, and then relaxed a little, knowing that there were still at least 2 hours left to reach the cursed island. At that moment Natsu and Gray felt they should escape from Fiore as quickly as possible and change their names to Carlos Santana and Alvin Jacatori to avoid the justified fury of 2 monsters. Chapter 5. Cursed Island. Lucy faced Sherry, one of Lion's followers who were causing problems on Galena Island, and after several difficulties she managed to defeat her. "Even if the flame of my life goes out, there is no falsehood in my love for Reiki-sama," Sherry said dramatically as she fell. "You're not going to die, drama queen," Lucy said, winking. "Angelica avenged me," said the magician, already on the floor. The huge blue rat jumped high and began to fall on Lucy. "Wait! Wasn't that thing a doll?" "Ah!" The blonde staggered and fell to her knees. "Oh no, I can't move my legs! Damn!" The enormous rat was about to fall on top of the blonde, but was slashed in the stomach by a sword and then hit by a white foam of water. "Sea foam of the Dragon King of the Sea!" was Naruto's chant of the spell, which was being enhanced by a support spell from the fairy tale water mage. Lucy was relieved to see the arrival of the true strongest team of fairy tale, that is Naruto, Urza and Juvia, and while that was happening in Magnolia, Mirajane felt like she was being excluded from her team, but then again she couldn't leave the guild without an S-class mage to look after it, or the dark guilds would definitely try something funny. Naruto, Urza, Juvia. Lucy's happiness was quickly cut short by the heavy glares she received from the newcomers. "That's true, I forgot we took an S-class mission without permission," she thought, petrified with fear and even more so by the death glare Naruto was giving her. "Lucy, do you know why we're here?" the redhead asked coldly. "To take us back, right?" the star mage replied nervously. None of the other 3 mages said anything as a figure watched them on top of the cliff. "Altair," Naruto thought as he felt the magical signature of his friend and spy in the second strongest dark guild. "Lucy, I'm so glad to find you happy." Arrived at the happy place because her friend was safe, but when she saw Naruto, Urza and Juvia there, she did the smartest thing possible and returned as quickly as she could to where she had come from. "Water lock," Juvia chanted, locking Happy in one of her water locks. "Great work, Juvia," Naruto said as he put his hand into Juvia's spell to get the troll cat out by the tail, while holding it. "Now were you leaving, Happy?" he spoke with his sinister voice, scaring the cat. "I'm dead," was what Happy thought, knowing that it wasn't a good idea to say anything. "Oh, calm down, I'm not going to kill you now. Making you feel so much pain is something else," Naruto said with an overly sweet smile. "Oh right, this one can read minds," Happy said, crying, knowing that Naruto had a sadistic side that would make Urza blush in embarrassment, and above all he enjoyed humiliating punishments. "Where are Natsu-san and Gray-san?" Juvia now asked Lucy, who just shuddered as she watched out of the corner of her eye as Naruto hummed a happy song while Happy screamed in terror because Naruto was trying to put the cat in a snow globe. Shaking her head, she decided to try to convince the 3 mages to help her. "Please listen. We apologize for leaving without permission, but there's trouble here. Some guys are trying to revive a demon trapped in ice, and that's causing problems for the island's inhabitants." The girl explained the rapidly evolving situation there. "I don't care," Urza said coldly. "And Happy is already entering the snow globe. You know that if he gets angry, you'll only suffer even more," I said, Happy stopping fighting against Naruto, who finally managed to get Happy inside the giant snow sphere, which he began to shake. "Now we find Natsu and Gray so I can beat them up and go home. This place is getting on my nerves and my moon hurts a little," said Naruto, who looked like a little kid with a new toy playing with his snow globe with Happy dizzy inside. What do you mean it hurts? Urza asked, concern evident in her voice. It must be because of the lunar drip, Lucy said, causing the three mages to turn to look at her. Some guy is using a lunar drip spell to break a demon's seal. I don't know much about him, but I know he draws power from the moon. And well, according to Natsu and Gray, your mother is the dragon goddess of the moon, so I guess this is affecting you a little. Flashback. So, are we really going to destroy the moon? She asked. Said one of Lucy's spirits, in which she had trapped herself. No, happy Natsu and Gray responded. Even if we could do it, we wouldn't. It would kill someone very important to Naruto. Gray said. How is that? She asks. Have you heard of a dragon named Selene? Natsu asks. Yes, she is the only woman among the legendary 5 dragon gods and one of the 13 dragon princes, children of Ancalagon the Dragon King, who is rumored to be more powerful than Agnologia, and is also known as the most beautiful woman in this world. She says. The spirit replied. She is the dragon goddess of the moon, and she is also Naruto's mother, and if the moon were to be destroyed she would cease to exist. Gray explained. Is Naruto a dragon slayer? She asks. And one of the strongest, possesses 13 magics that earned him the nickname Ju Sanria no Fairy. Fairy of the 13 dragons, and his flames are so hot they burn me. Natsu said, causing Lucy to remember the kick Naruto gave Natsu. So destroying the moon is out of the question, right? She asks. End of flashback. Reason to leave quickly. If this moon triggers hacks in the strongest of us, we won't be able to defeat the demon if it wakes up, Urza said, trying to sound stern, but the concern was noticeable in her voice, especially when Naruto held his head slightly. Time jump. Gray had woken up confused. When he found out what happened last night in the village, he was upset, but he felt relieved that thanks to Natsu and Lucy all the villagers were safe. He went to the store to meet them but was greeted by Urza's murderous glare. You're late, Gray, the redhead said without taking her eyes off him. Urza? I asked, surprised by the mage's presence. Lucy, Happy? He said, seeing his friends tied up with good ropes. Happy was now in a snow globe, but both had tears in their eyes. Lucy told us what happened, Urza said, glancing at the blonde. Us? I asked, surprised and terrified that she used the plural. Yes, Naruto-sama and Juvia are here too, said Juvia, who had Naruto's legs in noticeable bad shape. What's wrong with Naruto? He looks really bad? I wonder, worried about his friend. It's not important. When we get out of here he'll recover, Urza said, getting up from the box she was sitting on. Where's Natsu? Gray asked. That's what we want to know, Juvia said, standing in front of the ice mage with Naruto leaning on her shoulders. I was supposed to be in the village fighting Ryui's lackeys, but when we arrived he wasn't there. Since Natsu was there, I thought he'd be fine, so Naruto and Urza told me to bring them with you. Lucy explains the situation to Gray. I searched the air and found the storage area. Happy told his side of the story. Let's go find him, Urza said, starting to walk out of the shop. When we find him, we'll return to the guild, she said, stopping next to Gray. Wait, Urza, didn't you see the people on the island? I asked, startled. I saw him, she answered simply, not wanting to show Gray that she was too worried about her boyfriend. And you're just going to leave it like that? I asked, raising my voice. The job application was sent to other guilds. Wouldn't it be better to let other mages handle the job properly? I asked without looking at him, not wanting my friend to see my worried expression. I don't know you, Urza, I finally shouted at her. What did you say? I wonder, looking at him over his shoulder with a dark look. How dare you say that to the great Urza? Happy shouted, surprised and upset, earning a look from Juvia and Naruto, who had a look that said it all. Which side is this cat on? Do you intend to break the guild rules too? She asked, summoning a sword and threatening him with it, but in her eyes it was clear that she also wanted to help, but Naruto's health was more important in her heart. After all, she had 2 eyes, a loving grandfather in Rob, and a family in Fairy Tail thanks to him. All the time Naruto saw what happened without losing sight of the eyes of the ice magician, or better said Naruto, his only open eye, The artificial one was closed. His strength was being drained due to being the DS of the dragon god of the moon. Maybe he should have let Urza and Juvia take care of this. So Gray, what will you do? Was what was going through his mind. A smile appeared on his face when he saw Gray take the sword and guide it to the fairy tale mark on his chest. Gray exchanges glances with Urza before speaking. Do what you must, whatever path I chose, it's what I have to do. With that, he dropped the sword and started walking out of the store, leaving Lucy and Happy surprised, along with the smiling blonde. I'm going to finish this. If you're going to cut me, go ahead. He finished and left the store. Urza turned to see Lucy and Happy upset, and they started to tremble. Ha ha ha, what I expected. Naruto's laughter broke the tension, drawing the others' attention. Don't worry, Urzaheim Juviaheim, do me a favor and put this rune on my forehead, he said while showing a small rune in his hand, which Juvia took and then placed it on Naruto's forehead, who only took a deep breath before finally being able to stand on his own. Naruto, what's wrong? The redhead asked. My mother's magic was being drained, that's why I felt so bad. Now this will prevent it from being stolen for a few hours, she explained, then moved her hands slightly, feeling like 1/3 of her magic had been drained. I'm going with him. I won't let my mother's power be used like this. This last bit surprised the others, even Urza. Naruto, the blonde and the cat said happily. Don't get confused, it doesn't mean that you won't be punished for what you did. You will receive your punishment, and in 13 months raising 2 little pests and an adorable girl, one learns to punish in very, very creative ways, said the blonde with a macabre smile that sends chills down Lucy and Happy's spines, as well as a little excitement to Urza and Juvia. And so Urzaheim, Juviaheim, will you come with me? I wonder, looking into both of their eyes, receiving only a smile and a nod from Juvia. She would always support him even if it meant going against the world. Urza turned to see Lucy and Happy with a scared face. She approached them with sword in hand, scaring them even more, and without saying anything she cut the ropes. I guess I have no choice. We'll keep talking about this for now. Let's take care of this problem, he said, finally putting his sword away with his magic. Okay, then let's go, Naruto said with a smile, and then disappeared in a golden flash with Juvia and Urza reappearing outside the store. I think we're lucky those three came, Lucy said nervously once the two wizards left the place. Yes, said Happy. After a while, the 4 magi and the blue cat had already reached Gray, and he told them Lion's plan. Defeat Deliora? Is that your goal? Lucy asked as she continued running. Gray stopped running like the others and placed his hand against a tree. Lion's goal has always been to surpass Uar, but now that she's gone, his goal is to defeat Deliora, an enemy that even she couldn't defeat, in order to surpass her. I see. That's the only way for him to get over her now that she's dead, Lucy said, understanding what her companion was saying. By Ancalagon, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And look, I'm Miliana's older brother who gets distracted by anything related to cats, Naruto said with a frown, earning a look from everyone except Urza, who knew Naruto's goal, whose side decided to tell her goal. To surpass my mother and brothers. One day I will be more powerful than Ancalagon. That is my goal, is the same as with Lion. But I don't want to bring back the damn Jubi to do something that the great king could not do, he said with a frown, even more than before. After all, his goal was more difficult than Lion's, since according to his mother, Ancalagon only had Jubi as a worthy rival. It's not the same, Lion doesn't know. It's true that Uar isn't with us anymore, but she's still alive. He said this, turning to look at the others, surprising them all. What do you mean? The blonde asked worriedly. 10 years ago, the city where I lived was attacked by Deliora. It didn't take even a day to destroy it. I was rescued by Uar and Lion, who were passing by, and that's how it all began for me. Gray continued with his story of his life with Uar, a story that causes Naruto to somehow connect even more with Gray. Only before being saved by Uar, Gray did have a loving family, something that he didn't have, but bringing his hand to his healthy eye, he could only think one thing. I know I swore, but the 3 of you need her more, he said while images of Gray, Altair and a pink-haired girl appeared in his mind. Once he removed them from his thoughts, Naruto just shook his head. He had a lot to think about, and this mission was important. As they continued on their way to the ruins, they saw strange figures bowing down upon arrival. The ruins, were they already tilted? Lucy asked as she and Happy tilted their heads to look at the pyramid. It must have been Natsu's doing, Gray said, looking at the structure. I agree, Urza said. I don't know how he did it, but he's the only one crazy enough to do something like that, Naruto said with his characteristic seriousness. Naruto-sama shouldn't say that you taught Natsu-san to think outside the box, Juvia said with a giggle as Naruto's expression went from serious to blushing in embarrassment. It doesn't matter if he did it on purpose or not, that way the moonlight won't reach Deliora, the Ice Mage said. Who would have thought that his desire to destroy things would be of any use? Lucy said, straightening her head. At that moment several knives flew out from between the trees. Careful! Urza exclaimed as she hit Lucy so the knives wouldn't hit her, and Naruto took Juvia in his arms not before throwing Happy using a weak wind spell so as not to hurt him. Gray for his part jumped next to Naruto and Urza to avoid being hurt, but Lucy and Happy couldn't avoid crashing into a tree. Target located. Namikaze. Naruto, please surrender so you can be re-educated under Danzo-sama's orders and serve the greatness of Konoha, said the masked subject that Naruto recognized as one of Danzo's root Anbu that made him growl, as did Urza, Gray and Juvia. Namikaze Naruto? Lucy asked, confused as she rubbed the bruise on the tree. We'll tell you a long story later. Now behind us, Naruto ordered, as Lucy approached and then hid behind the four, clearly annoyed, magi. We're surrounded! Lucy exclaimed, seeing another group arriving behind them. I'll take care of this, Naruto said as he took off his gauntlet where a tribal tattoo immediately appeared that confused Lucy. Not even if I were dead would I let you face them alone, said Urza, who had a sword in her right hand. The past is a hitch, isn't what Naruto-sama always says, Juvia said as she summoned a pair of water whips, earning a smile from Urza and Naruto. Gray, let us handle this, Naruto said as the tribal mark grew until it covered his entire arm. Naruto, Urza, Juvia, Gray said behind his companions. Go on, Gray, finish things off with Lion, the redhead said without looking at him. But don't have all the fun, this won't last long, Naruto mocked in his dark, deep voice. Naruto and Urza's words surprised the dark-haired boy who only moved forward with his head. Don't worry, we're here too, just go, Lucy said, holding her whip in her hands. She may not know who Naruto Namikaze is, but judging by Naruto's expression, it was something from his past, and she would help him however she could. I Happy said, standing next to the blonde with a fishbone in his hands. Gray just flashed and ran off in the direction of the ruins. Captain 1 has escaped. No matter, the target is Namikaze, now surrender. Tundra Demon, freeze! Naruto chanted, causing the squad captain to be frozen and then break him with his bare fist, something that scared Lucy. But by the disinterested expressions of Urza and Jivia considered that the fairy tale rule of not killing humans did not apply to these men. Okay, shall we begin? The blonde had a smile as he looked at the men defiantly. Don't confess, traitor, we are Danzo-sama's root Anbu, the elite of Konoha, said the one who seemed to be the second in command of the group. Freezing projectiles from the Tundra Demon, Naruto chanted, having used an ice release area spell to launch a large number of ball-sized projectiles into the sky, which began to fall on the Anbu, destroying a good portion of them. What's this? A surprised blonde asked. That's one of Naruto's magics, Devil's Slayer of the Tundra Demon. It's a magic mostly for fights with multiple enemies and also grants him the power of a demon. Happy explained the blonde's ability. There's no time to explain, let's go too, Urza said, drawing the two's attention and starting to attack her enemies. After a while, the four mages continued fighting against Danzo's followers who seemed to have no end ahead. Naruto realized that some were actually Lion's followers, but he was too busy to care, so he simply stopped attacking and killing. Not to mention that they were worried about the fact that the ruins had returned to their original state, and the moonlight was once again filtering towards Deliora. This is getting boring, Naruto said, having already designed his clones more out of tiredness than to avoid wasting magic. They realized, Urza said, coming to a conclusion. Juvia did it, but we had already started and she couldn't stop. What are you talking about? Lucy said, confused. Okay, games are over, we're done with this, Lucy. Naruto grabs the Star Mage's attention and grabs her shoulder. What's going on? Wah. Without answering, the blonde threw it into the air. Happy catch her, Naruto said to the blue cat that flew to help his friend while deactivating his Devil Slayer. Here we go. Without saying another word, he grabbed Urza and Juvia by the waist and jumped high into the air, reaching the height at which Happy was flying. What a jump! Shouted one of the men on the ground while everyone was shocked by the height the boy reached. Naruto inhaled deeply through his mouth, filling his lungs. Roar of the Dragon Emperor of the Sky! He exclaimed, and from his mouth a large tornado of furious wind was shot towards the ground where the masked men were located who could not move from the surprise. The technique hit the ground, sending them all flying and in the process cutting down some trees near the place. So surprising, what was that? Lucy said, seeing the result of the technique. Naruto's main magic, Dragon Slayer. This was the Sky Emperor Dragon. This makes him the Lord and Master of the Sky and the Wind. His winds are so strong that the Master prohibited the use of all Naruto's Dragon Slayer magic unless it is a life or death situation. Happy fell to the ground while explaining what happened. I see, but didn't he go a little too far? The blonde asked, looking at the unconscious lion followers scattered around the place. As Naruto fell from his jump, landing on his feet and allowing the two beauties to support themselves on the ground, and before Urza could scold him, this callus fell to the ground on her but breathing heavily. I'm fine, just a little tired. Excuse me, I know this is none of my business, but who is Naruto Namikaze? Lucy asked, causing Naruto to sigh. Your family, you have the right to know, Naruto said as he brought his hand to his hair and then tucked one of his side locks behind his ear, causing Juvia to murmur beautifully. I wasn't born in Fiori 26 years ago. Two great heroes of the elemental nations gave birth to two children, a baron and a girl. So Naruto proceeded to tell Lucy all about his story, about how he was actually 7 years older than he looked and that he was Naruto Namikaze, who in his childhood was the despised and ignored son of Namikaze Minato aka the Yellow Flash of Konoha. And Kushina Namikaze aka Red Devil, ignored and despised in favor of sister, told her how he did everything to keep his family united, how his soul and faith in humanity was lost the day when for training as shinobi skill his parents beat him and sent him to his room without dinner. This information made him shut up for a few minutes. More than 19 years had passed and he still hated remembering that day, the day he almost got lost and turned into a monster. And if he had turned to the three magicians and the cat, he could have seen the furious faces of Urza and Juvia. They had heard it before, but that didn't mean they liked hearing about her boyfriend's suffering. Lucy, for her part, was hugging Happy with all her strength. She had heard from Mira that the strongest magician in fairy tale had a crappy past, but I never thought it would go that far. Even his father wasn't that bad. But she was disconcerted when she saw Naruto smile and look away at the moon. Not everything was bad. When I no longer had faith or hope, when my soul was turning black, my mother appeared. With time she managed to restore my soul. She half everything I wanted in a family, and they could not give me. She gave me unconditional love, a shoulder to cry on when I felt sad, a smile when I did something right, gifts when I did something wrong, a warm and protective hug every time I had nightmares of my past, thanks to her teachings. Today I am the greater man you see before you. He concluded with tears coming out of his eyes, tears that went away when out of nowhere he felt Lucy's arms around his neck, which repeated over and over again that she was sorry. There's nothing to regret. Naruto Namikaze died 19 years ago, the same day Mikazuki Naruto was born, a proud fairy time mage, he said, but was stopped by Garrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr ringing, Lucy said, covering her ears with her hands, just like Happy. What the heck is that sound? Urza asked. This feeling, Naruto thought worriedly. Shit, we wasted time, he must be waking up soon. Naruto shouted, simply standing up and starting to run towards the ruins. Let's not waste any time, we have to go to the pyramid, Urza said, running off, followed by the other two magicians and the cat. Moments before Gray. Whoa! Gray grunted as he blocked a barrage of ice projectiles. This isn't going anywhere! I thought in frustration. What's wrong, Gray? Weren't you going to stop me from killing you? Lion asked mockingly. Anyway, I've wasted enough time and magic on you. Deliora should be revived any moment. Gray gritted his teeth and rose to pursue his eldest student, but the wound in his side ached, and he was forced to kneel again. Lion gasped and turned to leave when a diamond dagger passed across his face, cutting his cheek deep enough to draw blood. The ice mage touched his cheek and growled in anger. Who's there? I heard you're doing all this because you think it's the only way to surpass your teacher, Naruto said as he entered the ice-filled room. He looked at Gray, who frowned at his older brother. What are you doing here? You said this was my fight, Gray said as he formed ice over the wounds sprouting on his side. Ignoring his little brother's outburst, Lion kept his gaze fixed on the newcomer. He hadn't noticed it before because he was in a hurry to stop his former training partner, but this person had a powerful aura. Of course it's the only way I can get past you. She's dead. How else am I supposed to get past her than by defeating the monster who couldn't? Naruto started walking forward. You say you want to surpass your teacher, but what you're doing now won't give you that satisfaction. What do you know? Lion snarled and formed a dozen ice birds around him, before pointing accusingly at the ninja. You was my goal. My dream. I'm willing to sacrifice anything to surpass her. Naruto quickened his pace and danced around the ice projectiles. Lion, increasingly frustrated, formed another icicle project. Ice Make, Snow Dragon. The giant ice creation roared as it charged towards Naruto, the dragon's slayer just smiling with his eyes closed, then opening his eyes with an expression of pure rage in his eyes. This guy was defiling his own with such a vulgar technique, and he wouldn't allow it. Sun Dragon Devastation Fist. He chants and then slams his fist into the fake dragon's face, leaving nothing but a puddle of water. Lion looked at him in disbelief that his strongest technique was destroyed in such a simple way. Apparently he didn't know about Naruto's status as the greatest god of Ishgar, but then simply smiled. You're fast, I'll grant you that, he said while looking at an injured Gray. So I think I'll just take out the trash, he said, and then simply launches a second ice dragon towards Gray. Naruto gritted his teeth and disappeared in a black flash. Gray raised his arms in a last attempt to defend himself, but his eyes widened when Naruto appeared right in front of him. What are you doing? Get out of here! Ignoring his little brother, Naruto simply engulfed his finger in golden fire. The previous dragon was weak and his stronger attacks were unnecessary. Your master was someone willing to sacrifice her own life for the sake of her comrades. He screamed and met the dragon head-on. Using his finger of flame, the strongest mage in all of Fiori pierced the false dragon like butter through a hot knife, or in this case a pile of snow under the sun. Someone like you could never surpass that. As the dragon dispersed, it rammed its flaming fist into Lion's stomach. Gra! Lion screamed as Naruto's fire burned his stomach. Then, the Rasengan sent him spiraling into a wall. Gray watched Naruto's back as he landed on the ground, speechless. Naruto sighed in relief before wincing in pain. He looked at his now bleeding hand and chuckled. The rune not only prevented his magic from being drained, but it also nullified his immunity to the elements. Well, he'd figure that out later. It was just an experiment, after all. That was probably a little reckless, huh? Gray was speechless. Naruto had not only protected him from what was probably Lion's most powerful technique, but he had also defeated him by mastering the attack with a single finger. He knew that the eldest brother of the guild was powerful, but he never imagined that the difference would be so much. At least in the past 5 years ago, he could say that Naruto and Guildarts were on equal power. Now, without a doubt, Naruto was much stronger than the veteran magician. I'm getting into your fight because I'm your older brother, and if I have to step on you to save you, then so be it, Naruto said seriously, then helped his little brother. Besides, he was a little fed up with the complex. Rah! A deafening roar shook the room, startling both boys. Was that Deliora? Naruto said, and Gray approached the gravity. Go ahead. I'll keep an eye on Lion, Gray said, limping over to the fallen mage. Gray now knew that if anyone could stop Deliora, it would be Naruto, and he made a mental note to never doubt the man he always saw as a brother again, even though he always denied it. Without wasting time arguing, Naruto walked over and ran. Ray aware. After a couple of minutes, Naruto entered the cavern and saw that the monster had just broken out of the ice completely. It was roaring and smashing the surrounding rocks like a mindless beast. Naruto noticed Natsu standing with a masked person cackling below. Natsu, you troublesome little bastard, if you come out of this alive I swear to Belsirion that I will kill you myself. Naruto shouted while shaking the only one of his little brothers that he hadn't threatened, who could only weakly murmur, "Sorry," repeatedly. Is that our enemy now? Natsu lost his swirling eyes and looked up, smiling, relieved to see his guild's ace. Naruto? Man, I'm glad to see you. They had just one person continuing the ritual there, and it was enough for Deliora to break free. Naruto clenched his fists. So we arrived too late. Haha. Of course you were. Deliora's here. Naruto looked down, and was surprised to see Lion crawling beside him. How in the name of Ancalagon did you get here so fast? Fool! I've spent the last 3 years on this island. I know this place like the back of my hand, Lion said, grinning maliciously as the demon continued his rampage. Naruto just snorted. This guy was either very stupid or the greatest genius. I guess that's true, but what happened to Gray? He was probably fine, but Naruto was still worried about his little brother. Now I will defeat this monster and surpass my master, you are. Aha-humph! Lion gasped as Naruto kicked him in the side. Didn't you hear a single word I said back there? Naruto said before closing his eyes. You want someone who surpasses then, Naruto said as he took off the top of his armor, causing Natsu to mock him by calling him Stripper 3.0, although Naruto simply decided to ignore it, and simply closed his eyes and began to enter his dragon force. By now, Deliora had noticed them and slowly began walking towards them. Few damn seas! Don't ruin this moment for me, Lion shouted before paling. When Naruto opened his eyes again, he saw Deliora's massive fist heading towards him. I will dare you to someone to surpass dragon strength, he shouted and sang, causing his body to change at a surprising speed. His golden scales appeared all over his body, leaving only his face, pectorals and abs. His hands were now claws and his hair was now spiky. In addition to that, his marks turned crimson. Meanwhile with Gray. I can't believe I lost that idiot, Gray said as he limped toward the cave where Deliora was being kept. But the moment he entered the cave, Gray's eyes widened as he was forced to jump out of the way to avoid being crushed. Shock! Gray quickly recovered and looked at the now open entrance to find Deliora standing with her back to the forest. What the? He then heard a burning sound and turned around just in time to see Naruto in dragon force running to his side with what looked like a miniature sun in his right hand. Huh! It was the smartest thing the Ice Mage could say in surprise at what he had seen. Naruto had just thrown Deliora. Feel the power of the sun! Secret art, sunshine, magnificent sun! Naruto jumped into the air and launched his sun towards Deliora, who could do nothing to avoid it. Gray watched in amazement as the technique struck down the demon responsible for destroying his home village. He saw millions upon millions of tiny golden flames slowly burn away the demon cell by cell, leaving nothing behind. That man, what's his name? Gray looked to his left and saw Lion leaning against a rock, but something seemed different about him. Lion no longer had a lost look in his eyes, as if he had found a new purpose. Gray chirped as Natsu ran past them and jumped on the wizard saint's back, cheering at the completion of his first S-class mission, clearly forgetting that the blonde came to hunt them down and bring them back to the guild where he could punish them. But Naruto simply shook him off and started shaking him as he went back to scolding him for being such an idiot and reckless, all of this being seen by Gray, who simply heard me. Naruto Mikazuki, the Fairy King. That's all, Gray said with a smile. Time jump. Oh yeah, it's finally over, Natsu shouted happily, raising his arms. Yes, sir, Happy said, imitating his friend. I really didn't know for a moment what was going to happen to us, but was amazing, Lucy said, relieved. Natsu kept jumping for joy. We managed to complete an S-class mission. Do you think we can go to the second floor now? The Star Mage asked excitedly, but her bursts of joy were interrupted when she received dark looks from the two S-class mages and the A-class mage. Oh, that's right, we're going to be punished. The poor blonde began to tremble in fear. Natsu, to begin with, things don't work like that. You must pass the damn exam, and as the second one who killed Deliora was me, who defeated Lion and his henchman was us. Yes, they defeated the dog boy, the lasher eyebrows and the less adorable and pink-haired Juvia. But that doesn't make them Class S by and Caligon if we hadn't arrived. Most likely all four would be dead right now. The blonde told them with his arms crossed. Besides, the real goal of the mission wasn't to free the island's people from their curse. This time it was Urza. But Deliora is dead, so that doesn't stop the curse? Lucy asks, confused. No, Deliora isn't to blame for what's happening to them, it's the moon drip, the blonde said, turning to look at the moon. But if we destroy the moon, wouldn't your mother die? Lucy asked, worried and terrified just an hour ago. Naruto had said that his mother was his strongest emotional pillar, and he was willing to kill her to fulfill a mission. Who told you that stupidity? My mother gets her power from the moon, that's true, but the moon existed before she was born and it will continue to exist when she eventually dies. Naruto said with a flat look, causing Lucy to turn to see Natsu and Gray, who were whistling, giving her a sense that it was an excuse to not feel weak for not being able to destroy the moon. Those idiots, Lucy thought, earning a laugh from the mind-reading wizard. Then let's hurry up and go heal them, Natsu said with a smile, high-fiving Happy, evidently wanting to avoid the blonde's wrath. But how? Hey, Lion! Gray turned to see his friend, who was sitting next to a rock. Let me tell you, I don't know, and I have some doubts about how the moon dripping affects the villagers. The silver-haired man is serious. Wait, are you trying to say this isn't your fault? Natsu asked, annoyed. Think about it, we've been under the same light for 3 years, and our bodies haven't changed. Lion explains why he's hesitant. You're right, exclaims Lucia. Be careful, those villagers are hiding something. Well, that's your guild's business. Lion warned them, then tried to leave, ignoring the fact that Naruto wouldn't let him go so easily. Oh, don't even dream about it. My friend is the first god of Ishgar. I am placing you, Lion Vastia, and your entourage under official arrest, since you already have a nice stay in a magical age prison waiting for you, said Naruto, who had locked Lion and his entourage in a crystal prison. What are you carrying? Let's see, said Naruto as he took out a notebook where he had written down all of Lion's crimes and then began to list them, causing the ice mage to pale. He knew he had broken several laws, but he didn't expect so many, and who in their right mind thought it was a good idea to pass a law that made it illegal to have his hairstyle? Naruto-sama is going to be like this for a while. It's better if we go to the village and see what's going on, Juvia said, receiving a nod from everyone in Fairy Tail. But what are we going to do about the curse? Natsu asked, confused. Who knows? Urza and Juvia answered at the same time. Back in the warehouse area, the wizards were surprised because they couldn't find anyone. Are you back? There's a problem. Come with me to the village, said one of the villagers who had just arrived. The man led them to the center of the village and was surprised to find it as good as new. But what happened? Lucy asked in surprise. The village was destroyed yesterday, said Happy, flying behind the blonde. I thought it was destroyed yesterday. Natsu was punching the wall of a house. It's like time has been reversed. And they expected a magical counselor with the time arc to leave this place destroyed, said a newly arrived Naruto, drawing everyone's attention. What do you mean, Naruto? Urza asked, more than confused. Arc of time is a lost magic that allows one to rewind or accelerate the time of organic objects belonging to Alter Milkovich, a member of the Magic Council who had been tracking Lion for a year and a half. She explained what she knew of the magic of her fifth lover and personal spy, which had found and arrested him when Lion's crime list surpassed 100, much to the delight of Lion and his entourage, who claimed that Naruto was a monster. Milkovich! Gray thought that was his teacher's name. Let me guess, he needed a witness to attack him without losing his prestige and credibility because of that man, and what better witness than the first wizard saint? Urza said, venomously adding the "that man" part. Basically now with your permission there will be a trial against Lion, and I must see what evidence I can gather to prevent him from spending the rest of his life in jail. Come on, Juvia, I'll need some help. Urza watches the idiots, Naruto said, receiving a feeling from Juvia and Urza, and then disappeared into the forest with the lively blue-haired girl. However, wizards, when do you plan to destroy the moon? The demon man asked desperately. Destroying the moon will be an easy task, Urza said, approaching with her arms crossed, drawing everyone's attention. Little did they know that the eye her boyfriend gave her also gave her a huge power boost. Hey, and he just says that like it's nothing? Gray said, a little surprised by his teammate's statement. Yeah, well, she's Naruto's girlfriend, I guess that gives her a little confidence in her own strength. Happy said, flying to the side of the brunette, but unknowingly hit something in the chest of the blonde next to him, something that was noticed by Urza. But it didn't matter, she would talk to the blonde later. Now she had a theory to test. However, there's something I want to confirm. Could you please gather everyone together? The redhead asked the old man. In no time, all the villagers were gathered in front of the Magi. Now, they took on that appearance after the purple moon appeared, right? The blonde man asked the villagers. To be precise, it's only when the moon appears that we become this, the old man replied. Considering what I heard, this has been going on for the past 3 years, right? Urza started pacing as she spoke. Yes, that's more or less the time, said one of the villagers. However, the moon drip has been carried to this island every night for the past 3 years. Urza walked with her eyes closed, evidently not looking ahead. You should be able to see a light falling on the ruins every day, KYA! She cried out tenderly as she fell into Lucy's trap. Hey, even the trap's back to normal, Happy said, watching the guild's strongest mage fall into the hole. Urza said. Keikia Natsu was a bit surprised. That was nice, Gray said, in the same condition as Natsu. That's not my fault, that's not my fault, Lucy screamed desperately. Meanwhile, with Naruto in Deliora's cave, Naruto was gathering the energy he had sworn to never use again in his life, and his only eye when out of nowhere he felt that he had missed something, causing his artificial eye to open to see Juvia, who was gathering all the water from the glacier that was destroyed in a single point. Hey Juvia Heim, I think we missed an Urza moment, she said with a smile. Note, Urza moments are the moments where Urza acts shy and feminine. Why do you say that? Juvia asked, puzzled. Call it sweetheart whatever, you're done, I ask, receiving a nod from the water mage. Juvia doesn't understand. Why are we doing this? You didn't say you wanted to gather evidence. Glacier water isn't exactly solid evidence, Juvia said with a tender nod. Wait and see, he said with a smile, and then opened his healthy eye, which suddenly changed shape to Juvia's amazement. Kamigan, he chanted, causing his eye to shine. Said I was now blue with what appeared to be a lotus flower around the pupil, which was a small dot. In addition to that, there were also sling patterns, being 3 in total, with 3 commas or tomos in each sling, giving a total of 9. My love, what happened to your eye? Said a stuttering Juvia. It's a long story, but in short, this is the ultimate eye, a digitsu that has only been seen once in history. Now get behind me and get ready to catch me. If I fall, this will exhaust me like you have no idea, Naruto said, simply receiving a nod of approval from Juvia, who did as her boyfriend asked. Now let's do this creation of all things, Naruto chanted, causing the water to begin to gather into a human shape, and after a few minutes it took the form of a woman of medium height with a slim and curvy figure. She has short, dark purple hair that hangs at shoulder length. She wears light clothing, consisting of a gray jacket, jeans, and a red sleeveless shirt. Return to the pure world, she chanted again, causing a kind of white liquid to come out of her eye, which soon began to enter the woman's body. With the process completed, the color slowly returned to the woman's body, and immediately afterward Naruto fell into the arms of a worried Juvia. Let me rest for a while. If Juv in a few minutes will return to where the others were with you are, she said, and Juvia just moved forward clumsily. Although she had many questions she knew Naruto would tell her, but now the man of her affections had to rest. Chapter 6. The Magic Council. Moments before / with Naruto and Lion's group. Naruto continued listing the crimes of Lion and his group, who only thought one thing: we're screwed. But after a moment a small laugh resounded in the place, making Naruto sigh. Alterheim, I knew you were here, but why? Naruto asks. Oh, calm down, bad boy, it's official council business now. Lion Vastia, for conspiracy, forming a radical cult, use of forbidden magic, and having that hairstyle, you are under arrest by the Magic Council, said the woman with purple hair and dark eyes who appeared behind Naruto. He committed more than 100 crimes and you're going to arrest him for those 4. More importantly, is my haircut really illegal? Lion asked. In that order, yes, and blamed the princess who, as a birthday present from Her Majesty, created a law against hairstyles like yours. Now, bad boy, come with me. We need to talk privately about what happened in the forest with the masked ninjas, Altair said as she dragged Naruto a good 300 meters away from where Lion and company were, causing them to sigh in relief. With Altair and Naruto, once they were both at a safe distance to talk without Lion and company hearing, Altair decided to start the conversation with the important question. Who's this Danzo? I asked, causing Naruto to sigh as he combed his hair with his right hand. Shimura Danzo, or the Old War Hawk, is one of the 3 elders of the Konoha Council. He lives by the philosophy of for the glory of Konoha, according to the information my mother gave me about the nations. The guy runs the underworld, pulling the strings, creating conflicts between nations that only benefit his twisted image of a superior Konoha, Naruto explained, but still didn't solve the mystery of the time magician. What do they have to do with you? I asked again, this time being more specific about the type of answer I wanted. My mom said the guy wanted Kushina to be some kind of living weapon, and when that didn't work he tried it with Mito, and it failed too, she said before letting out a giggle that earned a raised eyebrow from Altair. Do you find creating human weapons fun? His method rather. Ichibi, Nibi, Sanbai, Yambi, Gobi, Rokubi, Nanabai, Hachibi, and Kyubi, the 9 children of Hagoromo Otsutsuki, I believe from. I want the abridged version, Altair said curtly, causing Naruto to develop a depressive aura as he muttered things about mean women who don't appreciate history. It doesn't matter, the 9 are the incarnation of hatred itself. Kyubi, who is literally a being of pure hatred and the only biju that cannot be sealed in something non-living. Do you know why? He asked, causing Altair to summon her orb. She adored Naruto but hated it when he went off on a tangent. His hearing is so pure that it requires a strong will to repress it and prevent it from being released. Danzo's method is based on removing the emotions of his soldiers. Naruto Mikazuki, tell me in 25 words or less, or I'll send you to the super-developed lizard you call mother. But my mother isn't dead. If her host has no emotions, Kyubi would break free and destroy everything in its path. That's the funny thing. He basically wants to create his own destruction with the idea that it will bring him glory, she said expressionlessly, and Naruto only approached, causing Altair to snort. Okay, I understand that much, but what the hell does that have to do with you? 6 months and a week ago I had an encounter with Jiraiya of the Sannin. I guess he informed the Leaf Council about who I am and my power, and Danzo must have asked for Anbu to be sent to capture me and re-educate me as if they were some kind of lapdog. When they rejected him, he had to take matters into his own hands and sent his personal army to hunt me down. He said disinterestedly it's not like the root would be a threat to him, or any of the magi in his guild. After all, the strongest roots are at most at the level of a chunin equivalent to a rune knight, and Natsu could easily handle 100 of them alone. Naruto, I know that for you, who was raised with the idea of you are the king, you are invincible. It doesn't affect you, but this is a political issue that could put the peaceful life of the kingdom at risk. First, I was raised with the idea of you are the king, you must take care of your own. Second, the only ones who are truly powerful and a threat to Fiori would be Might Guy, Hataki Kakashi, Itachi Uchiha, Shirzue Uchiha, Kushina Namikaze, Minato Namikaze, Tsunade Senju, and Jiraiya. The rest are cannon fodder at most. Not to mention that Fiori army is 10 times the population of Konoha. Seriously, where do you get your information? She asked, causing Naruto to shrug before answering. You're not ready to know a lot of things. Anyway, we'll discuss this matter after Lion's trial. I'll take him and the ninja you didn't kill for interrogation, and we'll figure out the most viable course of action," she said, causing Naruto to groan. He hated council meetings more than anything in the world. "Fine, but I'll send a thought projection. I can't be in the same room as Jalal or I'll kill him. I already apologized for saving him, and if it helps you feel better, I regret having done it. The resentful emo Avenger is even more vengeful than when he was a child," he said, recording all of Jalal's psychotic plans to get revenge on Naruto, which would make the Uchiha feel proud. "Anyway, I'll go with the others. I'll leave the rest to you," he said, then kissed Altair on the lips before heading towards the village. "Oh, by the way, Mirdi wants to spend that father-daughter afternoon you promised her," Altair shouted. "I won't be doing missions for a long time. Send her whenever you want," he said from a distance. Current time /Deliora Cave. Naruto had been out of circulation for about 20 minutes and was finally waking up, and with a loud yawn he had opened his eyes and could see that he found himself in Juvia's lap, who was stroking his hair. "How long have I been gone, Haim?" he asked, rubbing his eye. "About 20 minutes, but what did you do?" the rain lady replied and asked. "I'll tell you when we're home with Miraheim, Urzaheim, and Kanaheim," Naruto said as he stood up and then approached Ur and carried her bridal style, not before confirming her pulse and breathing. Later on Naruto's ship. Naruto found himself lying on one of the ship's beds as he watched Gray cry while hugging Ur's sleeping body, while Urza and Lucy looked at him in disbelief before the story he told them. "Let me see if I understand. While they were looking for evidence to help reduce Lion's sentence, you accidentally read some strange writing on the wall that reversed the UR spell and brought her back as the day she died thanks to the little ice that was left, and with your DS magic from the Emperor of Heaven you rebuilt her body," Urza summarized, and Naruto, only ascending. "Naruto, I love you and you know it, but you have very strange adventures," Urza said with a smile, causing Lucy's mouth to drop to the floor. Urza had just admitted that she loved Naruto. Yes, I know, but tell me what happened after we left," Naruto asked, only for Urza to be interrupted before starting when Juvia entered the room. "I set the course to the port of Harjin, and I have tied Natsu-san and Happy-san to the top of the mast as you asked me, my love," Juvia said, to which Naruto just approached, and then saw Urza giving her a sense that she could speak, but "Excuse me, I know it's none of my business, but Naruto-san goes out with both of them at the same time?" Lucy asked. "Polygamy is perfectly legal in Fiori, and we have no problems with it. He wants all four of us equally," Urza said, to which Naruto just dreamed while thinking one thing. "Actually, there are 5. Anyway, after you left, I behaved dignified and sure of myself as I always have," he said, causing Lucy to blush a little, recording the very feminine scene of Urza falling into one of his traps, something that was noticed by Naruto, who read her mind and surprisingly a little and decided to make fun of his redhead girlfriend a little. "Then my warrior princess had an Urza moment," he said, causing Urza to blush at Lucy's incredulous gaze. "But well, you see, it took me by surprise, and well, despite everything I am a girl," so she said, preventing her stuttering as best she could. "Calm down, I just bothered you a little," he said, causing her to glare at him. "Anyway, after my moment, Urza, I finally deduced that we should destroy the moon, so with my giant armor and my strongest spear I propelled myself, and although I did not destroy the moon, I did manage to break the spell that altered the memories of the villagers," Urza concluded with a smile. "Well, good for you. Now let's get some sleep. Today was not the most peaceful day. Let's say I had to face something from my past, and I revived a very important woman for one of my little brothers. Honestly, I want to rest before docking and returning home," Naruto said, then got into a more comfortable position. "You're right, Lucy, could you watch that we don't crash into anything? I trust Juvia, but not the sea," Urza kindly asked the blonde. "Trust me, I won't let you down again," Lucia said. "I hope so. Wake us up in about 4 hours, or so to speak," and Lucy assented. With that settled, Urza grunted when she saw Juvia on her side of the bed, Naruto's right, then sighed and took her left side. Not that she cared, but she was used to taking the blonde's right side. Harjin Port / the next morning. After a long boat trip, especially for Natsu, the group of fairy tale wizards find themselves walking through the streets of Harjin to take the next train to Magnolia with their new member just woken up and disoriented. Recapping what they told me, After I was sealed along with Deliora, Gray became an emo stripper who joined Fairy Tail. My other student Lion became obsessed with surpassing me and tried to revive Deliora to kill a monster that I couldn't kill, but the gentleman did not obey the laws of nature. He gave him a one-sided beating and killed Deliora as if it were nothing. Then, while looking for evidence to help Lion with his trial for committing 4 crimes, one of which was a nonsense related to a hairstyle, the same gentleman did not obey the laws of nature, accidentally found a spell that brought me back, and using its power restored my body to allow me a life. You are making a summary of what they told her when she woke up on the ship with Gray, with tears drying in her eyes and half naked hugging her. Yes, that would basically be what happened, Naruto said calmly. You break the laws of nature and magic and act like it's no big deal, Ur said with a flat look. What I don't understand is why you want to help Lion. Because I know what it feels like to lose someone you love without being able to do anything, he said seriously. Not to mention I'm bored, and that seemed entertaining. That last one killed the serious moment. You are, without a doubt, the strangest man I've ever met, Ur declared. So what will Teacher Ur do now? Gray asked. Honestly, I don't know. It's not like I have much to do. I mean, I'm a recently resuscitated 28-year-old woman who was officially presumed dead a long time ago and who currently has nothing but 2 students, one of whom is in jail awaiting trial. Ur complained she would have preferred to be left to die. Come on, Fairy Tail, that place is a place for widows, and compared to the blonde raised by 13 giant lizards who has a god complex and a twisted and sadistic sense of humor, his past is quite, Gray tried to say and then was sent flying by an overcut from Naruto. Don't call my mother a giant lizard, he said in his dark voice, causing Altair to look at him in confusion. Your mother? Asked the ice mage. Selene, the dragon goddess of the moon, and my beloved mother, whom Gray has no right to insult by calling her a giant lizard, Naruto shouted before reaching out to grab Gray and then placing him on his shoulder. Anyway, let's keep moving. I have a council meeting in 36 hours and a pending date with Miraheim, and I want to take a bath before either of those, he said before continuing his walk towards the train station with an unconscious Gray on his shoulder. Naruto-kun is very sensitive about his mother, but it's understandable considering his past, Urza said, gaining Ur's attention. We'll tell her later now that you've decided. Well, I've heard rumors about Fairy Tail before everything that happened, and if Gray is happy there, I guess it could be a good place for me. Ur contest. Later/train car. An hour later, the group found themselves sitting in a private train car when Ur asked why. They only pointed at Naruto, who responded simply, I have too much money and I don't know what to spend it on. To which the ice mage just ascending. And tell me, what does it take to be part of the guild? Enter in a scandalous manner, start a bar fight, get the master's attention and tell him I am so and so and I want to join this guild. The master will say welcome to the guild and start a party and a new bar fight where Naruto-sama will beat everyone up and shout, Mahahaha, I am still the king! Juvia declared in the last part, doing her best Naruto imitation, but said information brought out a drop in Ur, who could not believe that it was true. Later, guild hall. Welcome to the guild, said the little master, then turning to the bar fight started just a few moments ago by Natsu, who started the fight after a white-haired guy told him that stealing an S-class mission wasn't for men. After that, a pitched battle begins, in which to their surprise Naruto, Urza, Lucy and Juvia don't participate, preferring to sit next to an old man with big eyebrows and a brown-haired teenager too much like a cat, and a girl Urza's age dressed in a gothic way, a girl 1 or 2 years younger dressed in a pink blouse and a short blue skirt. A white-haired girl very similar to the previous girl, only with brown eyes. If your little bar fight is over, the old man has something to tell us, he said, then used the same power to take the teacher to the 2nd floor. Brats, this is Ur Milkovich, Gray's resurrected teacher, and our new member. Let's welcome her Fairy Tail style. Party! Everyone shouted. 90 minutes later. Ur couldn't believe what she saw. Just as Juvia said, after the teacher welcomed her, a party started, and soon someone collided with another someone who collided with Natsu, who spilled a jug of beer on Urza's strawberry cake, ruining it completely, causing her to get upset, and immediately afterward the biggest massacre in the world began as Urza mopped The floor with every magician who dared to get in her way of massacring the poor devil who dared to ruin her strawberry cake. It wasn't until Naruto entered the scene that everything calmed down by giving Erza a new strawberry cake, causing someone to be either too brave or too stupid to call him a jerk, causing a new massacre where at the end Naruto was over the bodies of all the men of the guild except Rob and Makarov. "Mujajaja, I'm still the king!" he shouted maniacally and then roared, and a small jet of golden fire shot out of his mouth, directing a small hole in the ceiling. "You weren't lying when you said this would happen," you are said to Juvia, who was just smiling. "I am Naruto-sama's future wife. My duty is to know him like the back of my hand," Juvia declares proudly. "I see that," the ice mage said, a droplet of water falling on the back of her neck. "Well, with this environment, one will never get bored, but Naruto, Gray, and Lucy shouldn't have been punished for taking on a mission above their rank," you are reminded, causing the master to stop drinking his beer. "Thank you for reminding me, Miss UR," said the little master before clearing his throat. "The three mentioned, your next 5 missions will not be paid, and you better not do the— Oh, let's take the missions with the lowest paying on the board, or I will have Naruto be the one to punish you," he declared, causing the 2 magic barons to burn with fear. Naruto was worse than Erza and Lucy. Well, she just sighed. It seemed that she should ask for a loan for her rent this month, but she accepted the punishment and swore to never do anything to Natsu again when he had brilliant ideas like this. "Well, I have 29 hours left until the council meeting. With your permission, master, I'll go rest and mentally prepare myself to leave for Yare," Naruto said, receiving a simple sentiment from Makarov. "Receive it, you come back and you're gone again, life is so unfair," he complained. "Look who thought they'd never have their date with Naruto." "Oh, come on. I'll only be gone for a day or 2, and I'll also leave the long missions for a while. I'm starting to feel like Gildarts. All that's missing is for me to comb my hair like him and get annoyed when they call me old," he said, earning a smile from his lovers, and in some distant magnolia Gildart sneezed, blowing a small forest in front of him. "Well, it's your decision, son. Now go and rest, and tomorrow will surely be a difficult day for you," said Makarov. The next day in the ERA council chamber. Makarov was not wrong. The council meeting was being horrible, long and tedious. The fastest was the lion trial, which was resolved in just 3 hours after the council voted unanimously to have their sentence served in Lamia's scale under the supervision of Jurin Nikis, the 7th wizard saint after Makarov Dreyer. The problem came when Altair brought up the subject of the ANBU, which was easy. Jalal laughed, saying that they should hand Naruto over to Konoha, and problem solved, which ended with Grand Doma saying that if to preserve his career and prestige as a magician he should keep quiet. Maybe the council president did not want to be a supporter of Fairy Tail, but he respected Naruto. Then Michello, the man who Naruto was convinced was related to Miliana, somehow suggested sending a threatening letter to Konoha and the Fire Daimyo of the Land of Fire, with a threatening letter demanding Shimura Danzo's head. Michello Dano, as much as I'd like to have Councilman Shimura's head on my wall, isn't it a bit of an exaggeration? Naruto commented. "You are the first god of Ishgar, the most respected and prestigious mage in the kingdom, a personal friend of His Majesty, and an icon of the people. Attacking you is like attacking Fiore himself." The cat man explained his reasons. "This meeting is going nowhere. We'll just use Ether Ion and that's it," Jalal suggested. "Seagrain Dano, please refrain from further opinions at this meeting. Ether Ion is a weapon of last resort to deter the enemy from a possible war against us," Grand Doma scolded Jalal. "HMP whatever you want," said Jalal. Whatever, we'll need a plan of action to show the Konoha scum why Fiore is superior to them," Altair said, and as if by fate, one of the council employees appeared out of nowhere. "Excuse my interruption, honorable councilors, Naruto-sama, but this just arrived and I thought it was important," said the Rune Knight. "What is it?" Ward asked. "We haven't opened it, my lord, but it comes from Konoha and is marked with the seal of international diplomacy," the knight said, to which the entire council recommended. Naruto then used his telekinesis to attract the envelope from the knight's hands, who bowed before leaving the council room. After the Rune Knight left, Naruto proceeded to mentally read the letter with a smile. Minato had just given him the way to make him see 2 things: one, that Fiore was far superior, and 2 that he was stronger than he could have been if he had stayed in the rat's nest that is Konoha. I think my so-called father just gave us a way to show our superiority, Naruto said with a smile, then read the letter aloud. Dear Magic Council of Fiori, I, Minato Namikaze, Honorable Hokage of Konohagakure no Sato, have written this letter with the purpose of initiating diplomatic relations with your kingdom. And for this I dare to invite you to the classification exams and ascension to Chunin that will be held in my village in 7 months apart from the time I wrote this letter. Now there are 3 simple rules: the genin participating in teams of 3 with the jounin as supervisor and teacher can bring the equipment they want. In this document I have included a special storage seal with several forms of registration in case you decide to accept my invitation. Without further ado I say goodbye. Are you 100% sure that man who fathered you doesn't seem very bright? Grandoma commented, unaware of the fact that Minato hadn't sent Danzo to make his move. Don't worry, Grandoma Dano. My intelligence comes from my brother, King Ghidorah, who is considered the smartest dragon of all. That man only has my hair and nothing else. Naruto responded calmly. Leaving aside your obvious family problem, for the first time I agree with you on something, and that is that man Minato gave us a way to demonstrate Fiori's superiority. Jalal said, causing everyone to see him and Naruto to want to comment something, but he fell off. It was not the time to make the joke Simon would laugh when he was back home. Leaving aside the possible apocalypse that could be caused because these two are in agreement, how many teams will we send and who will be on them? Altair asked. I have 3 cute and adorable students right now. Their names are Sting, Rogue, and Yukino. In 6 months they will be at the level of a Class B magician. My adoptive brother Sho is a Class B magician and is the right age to pretend to be a genin, Naruto commented, receiving a nod from the entire council. My adopted daughter Mirdi is very strong too. I would say she is close to Class C. With some training she would reach the level of a Class B or even a magician. With that, we should have a team with 2 members, but we need 1 more member for the second team and someone to pretend to be their sensei. Grandoma comment. There is no deadline to respond, and if necessary our messengers are so fast that they could arrive in Konoha 2 weeks before the Chunin exam. For now I suggest we look for candidates, while in the meantime I will train my students and Altair Dano's daughter to make sure they are ready, said Naruto, to which everyone nodded, agreeing with the plan. Chapter 7. Confusion. It had been about 3 weeks since Naruto returned from Iare, and since then a lot of things had happened. The first, Mira finally got her date after, in her words, 5 damn years of waiting. The date was pretty normal. They watched a movie. Naruto beat up an idiot who tried to make a pass at his girl. They went to dinner, and somehow Naruto didn't understand. Mira managed to get him drunk enough to sleep with him, claiming the future Dragon King's first time. And if it weren't for the fact that he couldn't remember how the hell it happened, Naruto was sure that he would be happy, although of course she broke her promise that Erza would be the first, and when she found out, well, Naruto had to sleep with one eye open for fear of being raped by the redhead. Another thing that happened was the appearance of Altair and Mirdi in the guild, so Naruto could begin Mirdi's training, and this caused the problem that Naruto currently has, because when Uar and Altair saw each other, Uar cried with joy, and it turned out that her daughter was alive, but that joy was not difficult because Altair tried to kill Uar, and thanks to the quick intervention of Naruto and the master they managed to stop her. After that, Naruto had to act as judge in an improvised trial to resolve the past of mother and daughter, and after 3 days where with different means of interrogation, including the telepathy of a friend of the master and a memory lacrima that Naruto obtained in a way that many thought was not very legal, it was revealed that Uar did not abandon Altair in the laboratory but was deceived when the lead scientist told her that her daughter had died, and due to the pain and immediate depression she ran away from the place without looking back. After that, Altair decided to give her mother a chance at a mother-daughter relationship. Awkward was the key word for this, the excess of love that Uar tried to give Altair. The coldness and clumsiness with which she returned it, or tried to do so. On the good side, Mirdi was being spoiled by her grandmother. On the bad side, Naruto almost died at the hands of his harem when Mirdi called him dad. Fortunately, after Mirdi said that the relationship was adoptive, things calmed down, and Naruto only had 3 broken bones and a black eye that disappeared at the end of the day. But he also took something from this, and that was a doubt. He really hated someone from his past in Konoha. When he thought about each and every one of his past people, he came to a conclusion. Tsunade did not hate her, but she did not want her in her life. Same case with Jiraiya. Minato definitely hated him. He was sure that if he had him face to face he would give him a roar of the solar dragon at point-blank range and enjoy it. Kushina also hated her, but her principles prevented her from killing women and children, so she would not attack her to death. Kakashi really did not know him, so he had no problems with him as long as he did not try anything against him. One by one he went through each person in Konoha. There were a few who he appreciated, like the third Hokage, who encouraged him, telling him that things would get better someday. He was right if they did, although he was sure not in the way the old man thought. The Ichiraku who gave him food and a place to sleep when his parents forgot about him and left him out of the house. Without a doubt Naruto appreciated them very much, with Tsuchi being his first father figure, Rob being the second, and I am his first sister figure, and the last person he appreciated was the hardworking genius guy. The original whipping eyebrows. He always encouraged him, saying that it didn't matter not being a prodigal and that with effort and hard work one day he would be recognized by all. He was also right, although his guildmates didn't believe it, considering him a prodigy in magic only seen in Merlin the original wizard. Naruto worked hard to complete his training on Dragon King Island. He slept barely 20 hours a week and ate just enough to function. Said hard work paid off, and as a result he was now the most powerful holy wizard in all of Fiori, and also a very respected and admired public figure, not for power but for his kind, loyal, and helpful way of being. He analyzed 499,999 out of 500,000 people who lived in Konoha at that time. Only 4 could be considered friends, but there was one person who didn't know whether to hate, be neutral, or love. Mito, his twin sister. For many years he clung to the idea of hating her, but because examining his memories Naruto saw many things, none of them worthy of the hatred he had for his sister. In fact, he was sure that he should love her. In his memories there were nice things with her, like when she gave him half of his 4th birthday cake with a clumsy decoration of Happy Birthday Narani. It was she who introduced him to the Ichiraku. She always tried to get his parents to spend time with him, remembering that Naruto felt like the worst scum in the world. Why? Simple. For more than 19 years she fostered in his mind an unjustified hatred towards his sister. For years she deceived his mind but never his heart. But now he had a doubt. Mito, she hated him. He wouldn't blame her if she did. She still loved him. He would despise himself if she did. These doubts had an effect on the real world. Before, Naruto never stopped smiling. Now it was evident to everyone that his mind was not in the earthly world but in the clouds. As Naruto discovered, simply never in his life would he take a Class D mission. But he did it without realizing it. But he did it on the good side. He completed it, and his mission record remained perfect. Now Naruto sits on the roof of his house looking at the sky, more specifically at the moon, almost as if he was asking his mother for advice on this. But as he expected, the only thing he received was a soft voice telling him, "You are the king. This is your first test. A fair king would make the right decision. I trust you, my boy." Receiving such a clear answer from his mother, Naruto could only sigh and fall onto his back, only to see Urza standing behind him with a soft and understanding face, one that only he had ever seen. "Naruto-kun, you've been acting really weird. May I know what's wrong?" I asked, then sat down next to her boyfriend. "I'm confused," I speak in a muffled voice, confusing Urza. "The matter with you are an Altair made me think about many things. I thought about my past, and of all the people in Konoha. I can tell you there's one I don't quite know how to feel." "Isn't your sister true?" Urza asked. "How do you? You sleep in the same room as Juvia and you talk in your sleep, especially when you're under a lot of pressure. Let's just say repeating 'I'm sorry, little sister' over and over again while you're sleeping draws a lot of attention," she said, then gestured to Naruto to sit next to her. "I'm not an Altair. You can be open with me and tell me whatever you want. I've been searching through my memories out of my 7 years living with them. I don't have a single memory that makes Mito worthy of my hatred," Naruto said, causing Urza to look at him strangely. It wasn't her who. I was a child back then. Being Kurama-san's Jinchuriki wasn't her choice, and she always tried to help me in any way she could. Searching through my memories, I saw no reason to hate her, but rather reasons to love her. I nurtured a great, insane, and undeserved hatred. I feel like scum if you also respect that many times. What should you do? I don't like feeling this way. I'm supposed to be," but he couldn't finish when he was caught in Urza's armor hug. "You're not a god. You can't be perfect. You're a human after all," the redhead said while stroking Naruto's blonde head. "But I'm still used to being the fairest man in the world, always listening to everything before judging, and now I played and condemned an innocent man. I cry into Urza's chest, who will be surprised that she had never cried in her life, or at least in the time she knew him. Cry, let it all out. The redhead whispered as she stroked Naruto's hair until he finally fell asleep after an hour, tears drying on his face just in time to miss seeing all his friends arrive. Sister Urza, brother Naruto will be fine, right? Miliana said, worried about the normally strong man Naruto being so vulnerable at the moment. You need to close the loop, try to win her sister's forgiveness. The problem is, I don't know how to help you with that, Urza said, concern evident in her voice. Everything will happen in due time. Now our duty as a family is to give Naruto all our support as his family, said the master, receiving an ovation from the entire guild, well, almost all except Natsu, who had a thoughtful face. What's wrong with you, Flames? Nothing, stripper, I was just asking. The whole guild was once on Naruto's roof. Crack. But before anyone could respond, out of nowhere, the weight of everyone managed to make Naruto's ceiling give way, and everyone fell silent at what they assumed was Naruto's attic, if their memories of their missions were any indication. The next morning, Naruto woke up in his bed completely rested and relaxed after having had a good night's sleep after having cried in Urza's chest. But when he left his house, surprised at not seeing Juvia, for some reason he decided to turn to see his house, paling at what he saw. I'm being taken by the one who brought me. What happened to my roof? I screamed so loudly that it was heard throughout the Magnolia Kingdom. He didn't have to think about it much, and came to the conclusion that it was the guild's fault, so he just sighed and thought about it a bit. Maybe a complete remodeling of his house would do him good, although of course he and Juvia would have to look for a hotel to spend the night. As well as the Strauss sisters and Yukino, who for some reason had moved to the Strauss apartment. After many apologies from the guild and the occasional beating to Gray and Natsu, who blamed each other for what happened, things returned to normal, and in fact the master's terror became reality. Nobody knew how, but Natsu managed to do the impossible by making Naruto, Urza, Juvia and Mirajane form a team, although it backfired when said team didn't include him, and the entire guild mocked him when Naruto trolled Natsu with his response. You said I should join a team, never that I should join your team. Next time think better about your plans. This team in a matter of a month quickly became the strongest in all of Fairy Tail, and to the joy of Makarov and amusement of Rob the least destructive, although of course, as good Fairy Tail wizards they destroyed the occasional building or mansion. In the end, Natsu got what he wanted when, thanks to Lucy, Naruto agreed to take them on some missions, although he made it clear that S-class was forbidden until Natsu was responsible. But not everything was good, because when they returned from a mission they saw with horror how their beloved guild had been destroyed by iron beams that Naruto and Natsu quickly identified as Black Seal's magic. However, their reactions were different. Natsu immediately wanted to go kick his ass, while Naruto, although he thought the same at first, he calmed down when they confirmed that no one was hurt. Although that night he tied up his 3 students and adopted daughter and locked them in his house to keep them safe in case the ghost tried something else. Never in his life did he wish he had been wrong, at least until now. Gajeel had committed an inexcusable sin and had attacked and spilled the blood of Levi. Jet and Droy, the Iron Dragon Slayer, wished he hadn't done it because he unleashed the fury of the Dragon King, and after a beating to each member of the Phantoms given by a single man, Gajeel and Jose faced the wrath of the Dragon King alone. Gajeel intelligently did something that saved his neck by bowing to Naruto, and with that he virtually became his servant, because Naruto proved to be the true Dragon King, and by the laws that his father drills into his head he will follow him until his last breath. Jose was an idiot, and thinking that revealing his plans would make Naruto intimidated, by God knows why, because it would clearly only anger him more, he revealed that Lucy's father hired them to take her back home. How he used this as an excuse to finally destroy the fairies and squeeze every last penny out of Jude Heartfilia, and when Lucy was no longer useful to him he would dispose of her like the garbage she was. Clearly after a few minutes he regretted it, because Naruto had no mercy, and using every ounce of magical power he had in his being he gave him a beating that made him wish he was dead. There was not a bone in his body that was not broken, or muscle that was not torn. But death never came, because Naruto had in mind a much worse punishment, and using all the influence he had as a holy magician he had Jose stripped of his title of holy magician and thrown into the deepest dungeon in Fiori, and also erased his name from the history of Fiore. In other words, Jose Porla, the lunatic master of the Ghost Guild, was completely erased from history, and no one would know about him in the present or in the future. That day all of Fiore learned something. No one touches the king's family and lives to tell the tale, and although Fairy Tail clearly feared Naruto a little, after that, within a few days it was forgotten because Naruto did that for his family, and didn't break any of them. Fairy Tail law because no Phantom Lord Mage died that day, and even gained a new Dragon Slayer Mage Gigio Red Fox, the ace of the Phantom Guild, who a few days later with the fairies and comparing himself to the strongest fairies like Natsu, Gray, Simon, Juvia, Urza, Mirajane, Ur, Laxus, who returned in time to see the event and who very wisely decided to cancel his attempt to take after seeing what Naruto did to Jose. And Naruto himself learned one thing, and that was that he was weak, and by doing something that required him to swallow all his pride, he asked Naruto to help him train and become stronger, something that Naruto had no problem with as long as he apologized to Levi, Jet, and Droy on his knees for what he had done, something that required all his willpower and self-control to do, but in the end he succeeded and ended up joining the group of 4 to train under Naruto. After a few more days, the incident passed and the guild returned to its daily routine, that is, fighting, partying, and fighting again, but as the master once said, everything happened in due time. Why do I say this? Simply one day like any other in Magnolia a man entered through the guild gates. Said man was nothing special, in fact he looked quite poor. He had spiky black hair, somewhat tan skin, and an X-shaped scar on his chin. He wears a dark blue short-sleeved kimono-type shirt and short white pants and black sandals. In addition to that he wears a cloth on his head. Is this Fairy Tail? I asked the man. That's right, young man. Don't worry about appearances. My brats can handle any job you can imagine, the teacher stated. I hope so, thought the man, believing that this would have remained private, not counting that there was a magician capable of reading minds in the guild. Said magician was none other than Naruto Mikazuki, who, in order to have a better perspective of the situation, approached the man and placed 2 of his fingers on his forehead and his free hand on the man's head in order to freely read his memories. What he saw made him growl. Old man, I'll take this and cover the expenses of the mission, Naruto informed, confusing everyone except the man, who looked at him in amazement. Naruto, my boy, what's up? Rob asks. Something so horrible that talking about it makes me want to throw up. Urza, Juvia, Mira, go get your things. It will be a mission for a few weeks. I will see you at the station in an hour, Naruto ordered, getting everyone's attention, but no one disobeyed, and the 3 Fairy Tail beauties went to get their things for a long mission. Time to Chunin exam: 5 months, 2 weeks, and 3 days. Chapter 8. Siblings. A few hours later, after Naruto ordered the strongest team to go get supplies for a mission of about a month, Naruto went with the man now known as Kaiza to buy some supplies to, in Naruto's words, feed Nami no Kuni for a while. This of course caused Kaiza to cry at the kindness of this guy, who not only accepted the mission but was also paying for things that would feed his village for a long time. Finally at noon, Naruto and Kaiza were on a small boat barely big enough to safely cross the ocean, waiting for the blonde's 3 lovers, while he conversed with the man about any subject that came to mind until Mira, Urza, and Juvia appeared with a ridiculous amount of suitcases on their backs. Although when Naruto said not to ask, Kaiza decided it was very wise to listen to the blonde man. Then Naruto-kun, you won't say why we came and not Natsu, Gray, and Lucy? Mira asked. It's not that she cared about fewer women around her man, he just meant more Naruto to her. In short, we are facing a tyrannical mercenary with the ability to hire both shinobi and dark magicians. If you'd like, I can give you more details about the mission, Kaiza offered, to which the girls nodded. I saw him. With your permission, I'll take the helm, Naruto said before going to the helm, but not before putting on earplugs to prevent his enhanced hearing from reaching hers. Once Naruto left, Kaiza proceeded to tell his story, how his country Nami used to be a small but prosperous and happy island nation, but that happiness was gone when a man named Gato came to the country, and how he slowly began to take over the town, until he ended up taking over the entire maritime market. He told how he almost died trying to fight alone to be saved by one of Nami's guardian, which to the surprise of the 3 Fairy Tail beauties was one of Naruto's sisters. More specifically, Amuri, if the descriptions Naruto gave them were correct, since there weren't many dragons alive today, and especially not 90-meter ones and with coral instead of scales. Which brought him to Fiori, where he spent 2 years working as a humble fisherman on a fishing boat to gather enough money in hopes of being able to pay off a guild strong enough to help his country. This story made the three beauties sympathize with the man. He could have forgotten his country and continued his life here in Fiori, but that wasn't Kaiser's job. He worked hard to help his people, especially his little son Inari. If the man were a magician, he would undoubtedly be a fairy by heart. I can see without a doubt that your country is in trouble. Don't worry, we'll take care of everything and you can return to your family, Urza declared. But how far is Nami from Fiori? I mean, she's in the elemental nations, Juvia asked. At the speed the blonde is taking us, I'd say a few days. Well, in 3 days we will have enough time to think of a plan that with 7 will go well, said Mira, receiving a nod from the other two, Mattis and Kaiser. They are fairy tale, their plans can never and will never go well. And by the way, the blonde's name is Mikadzuki Naruto. I am Mira Jane Strauss. The one in blue is Juvia Loxer and the one is Urza Scarlet. This caused Kaiser's jaw to drop and hit the ground. He may not be from Fiori, but he would be an idiot if he didn't know about these. Juvia Loxer, or Mizu no Megami, goddess of water, a magician on the verge of the S-class and who is said to be able to summon rain even in the driest desert, she would undoubtedly be seen as a deity, and would be worshipped as such in Suna. Mara Jane Strauss alias Majin, the demon, a magician capable of subduing and using the strength of demons that can turn cities to ashes in a movement. Urza Scarlet alias Titania, the strongest woman in the Fairy Guild and an S-class magician with immense power comparable to that of the aces of her guild without reaching their level. And finally Naruto Mikadzuki, or the Dragon King, the most powerful magician in all of Fiori. When he came to Fairy Tail he hoped to have a magician like Natsu Dragoneel or hopefully Elfman Strauss, but no luck made Naruto Mikadzuki want to help him, and with him 3 of the strongest magicians in the entire guild. No doubt Gato would regret what he had done to Nami and her family. 2 days later, Konoha. Minato was ordering, or rather begging, his daughter, Mito, to go as backup for his student Kakashi and his mother's student Kurinai to Nami no Kuni, something that she negotiated since the lives of the emotional Sasuke Uchiha, the crazy fangirl Sakura Haruno, and Danzo's emotionless son Sai Shimura. The arrogant, pompous Hinata Hyuga and the perverted dog Kiba Inuzuka did not interest her in the slightest. She would feel sorry for Itachi. If she liked him, she did not consider him a friend, but she respected him for having a mentality that she thought was like the one her brother would have. And Shino, well, she had nothing against him, but she did not like him either. Note: Minato and Kushina are 47 years old but look 30. While Naruto and Mito are 27 years old, with Naruto looking 19 due to his rejuvenation and Mito 21 due to Uzumaki longevity, and the genin of Naruto's generation are 14. But Minato did not give up, and after promising her that after this she could go to Fiori on a mission to look for her brother, the most powerful and cold Jounin of Konoha had finally agreed to go save Kakashi's tracer and his trio of students who were clearly not qualified for a C rank mission. Much less for the B rank that became after the appearance of Kiri's demon brothers. It didn't take long to catch up with them at the civilian pace that those caught were going when they were about to reach the coast of the Land of Fire, where, as if by the work of Kami, something happened that Kakashi called the luckiest coincidence in the history of Konoha. Because simple for this we have to go back a couple of hours, more specifically to Naruto and his group's ship. You say you want to disembark here instead of the dock near your house? Naruto asks. This ship won't make it past the Gato blockade. It would be best to take the path on foot from here. Reaching my dream home would take about 6 hours at my pace, Kaiser said. Normally the fairy tale way is to charge headlong without a plan, but I guess for once an exception can be made. After all, nothing is impossible for Mikadzuki Naruto, he boasted, not realizing that he had confirmed several rumors about the guild, and then simply began to look up his position on a nautical chart. He just mispronounced the word impossible, Kaiser asked Urza in a whisper that only rose. Well, according to the map we should be about 10 minutes from the coast of Nami no Kuni. Prepare to disembark. Kamere-chan, we have to travel light, so I will expand your space re-equipped with some special runes that I invented while training Sting and Rogue. He said Urza was just grateful she could finally stop traveling with a ton of suitcases in tow. Who are Sting and Rogue? Kaiser asked. They are the students of my heart. Why the question? Juvia questioned. Just curious. He doesn't really talk much, he replied with a shrug. Well, he has a history with the nations, and I guess being here makes him nervous, Mira said, unintentionally revealing something she shouldn't have, but Kaiser didn't seem to care. The fact that these people, who were coming to help his people for him, could be an extremist religious sect that sacrificed people. Current time. Surprise, condition, and happiness was what old Tazuna experienced when he saw his late son-in-law get off the boat with the fairy emblem along with 3 beautiful young ladies and a blonde man, surprised at seeing that his son-in-law was still alive. Condition for knowing how he survived when a giant wave crushed him, and happiness because he was still alive. Kaiser for his part felt happy and relieved to see that the old man was alive, and apparently the old man never gave up and was building a bridge that would connect Nami to the mainland to ruin Gato's maritime monopoly. That is the stupidest plan I've ever heard in my life, Naruto and Mito said in unison, causing both of them to finally look at each other. You look familiar, do we know each other? They asked themselves, causing Kakashi and the group of fairies to facepalm each other as they both didn't realize that the other was the person they wanted to make peace with. Naruto, find Mito. Whatever basically makes you think that guy won't take over the bridge, I would if I were him, they said in unison, causing the 3 fairy tale mages to nod. It's true that in Fiori there was a dark guild that used Gato's modus operandi, and we were only able to free the village when Naruto-kun was sent to crush them, Urza said while pointing at Naruto. Oh, your name is Naruto, that's my brother's name, Mito said. These 2 are more beasts than Natsu/Guy, thought the 3 magazines and Kakashi. Anyway, Kaiser-san hired us to get Gato out of Nami's house, and that's what we're here for. Why did they hire you guys? Naruto said and asked, still not realizing that the person he wanted to fix things with was literally 3 steps away. To provide protection until the bridge is finished, Naruto-san, Kakashi said, emphasizing Naruto's name so that Mito would realize that this man was her brother. Note: Kakashi is on Mito's side and wants to help her find her brother and repair their bond, in honor of Obito, who would have done the same. There was no need to emphasize my name so much, Hataki-san. Anyway, while you, the red-eyed woman who undresses me with her gaze, your genin, and the young lady who looks familiar but I can't identify will protect the man with the hat, whose name I don't remember or never asked, while my group and I free Nami fairy tale style, Naruto said, to which Kakashi only moved forward but mentally was counting to 1,000 to calm down without doubts. Naruto was as powerful as he was absent-minded. Not only did he not recognize his sister, but also the fact that he hadn't asked Tazuna's name. Why should you be the ones to do that? I'm an Uchiha, invincible. Only an Uchiha can defeat another Uchiha, Sasuke boasted, receiving cheers from Sakura. You are an elite. Tell me, at what age did you awaken the Sharingan? At what age did you take your first life? At what age did you fight in a war? What have you done to earn the name of an elite? For my part, I became an S-class mage at age 11 and a god of Ishgar at 13. I killed my first dragon at 5, and although I have not fought in wars, I am considered one of Fiori's most valuable assets in the military field. You are nothing more than a conceited brat with a duck's S instead of hair, Naruto said, shocking Sasuke. This man was talking to him as if he were nothing. Who did he think he was? He was Sasuke Uchiha, an elite of Konoha. Who do you think you are? Why would you say that to Sasuke-kun? Sakura shouted, causing Naruto's ki to hit her with all his power. Look at you, pink monkey with a terrible fashion sense. If you scream in my presence again, I'll kill you, Naruto declared with his dark voice, causing Mito's Kurama part to freak out, having recognized the Dragon King's power in Naruto, and Sakura to pee her pants, something that Naruto enjoyed too much. Let's see, let's calm down a bit. We all have the same goal because we don't get along, Kaiser said, trying to be the voice of reason in the room. Very well, now where are we going, Mr. Straw Hat? Naruto said, turning to Tazuna. This way, Tazuna said as he proceeded to walk towards Nami's village, chatting and catching up with his resurrected son-in-law. In this whole affair, Kurenai and his students were ignored. As they walked, Kakashi smiled at the sight of the normally cool Mito chatting animatedly with her brother, although of course she didn't know, and apparently Naruto hadn't noticed either, although of course blood is thicker than water, and evidently their hearts knew who they were even if their brains didn't. Before you ask why Naruto doesn't recognize Mito, the answer is self-defense. His mind blocks out the memories of her face to avoid feeling guilty, and Mito doesn't recognize him for the same reason. Plus, as far as she remembered, Naruto had whiskers, not fangs, and a moon. And tell me, is he happy? Kakashi asked in a whisper, but the three female magicians heard him perfectly and tensed. Don't worry, I'm on Naruto's side. It's not that I want to go against Minato-sensei, but I know that Konoha will never be a home for Naruto, and if he's happy in Fiori, I won't move a finger to ruin that, he informed, calming the three female magicians a little because there was no falsehood in his words. He's very happy in Fiori. He's a very respected and beloved man, and in Fairy Tail, he's everyone's older brother. He even faced an entire guild just to avenge 3 of our own who were treacherously attacked, Mira said. So the 4 continued talking without realizing that Naruto and Mito could hear their words, one being a slayer and the other a Jinchuriki, both possessing the best hearing in their continents. Mito was happy and terrified. Naruto, the one she had been searching for, was by her side within her reach. She could simply hug him right now and ask for his forgiveness on her knees to beg him to let her into his life and be family again. But she was terrified. She didn't think she would be able to bear her brother's rejection, and above all, she didn't want to ruin his life, which from what she heard from the 3 magicians, was very happy. Naruto, for his part, was in the same situation as his sister. He had her within his reach. Nothing prevented him from opening up to her, begging for her forgiveness for hating her unjustifiably all these years, but his pride and fear prevented him from doing so. Although he was usually mentally strong, this matter left him vulnerable in that aspect. However, as they looked at each other out of the corner of their eyes, they both shared the same thought. Mito/Nero and I forget everything that happened when I/you left/went, but I promise you one thing, and that is that before this mission ends I will have done everything in my power to try to save our bond that could never be broken. I swear on the honor of the Dragon Kings/Uzumaki clan. They both thought, burning determination in their eyes. In Naruto's case, literally. They continued their walk, this time in complete silence, until out of nowhere both Naruto and Mito heard something in the bushes and fired a dagger made of the silver DS and a kunai respectively, which stuck into a tree where a white rabbit was. What's going on? Is the elite afraid of rabbits? Shut up, emo kid, he smells like metal and blood, he must be a swordsman, Naruto said as he used his re-equipment to summon a sword about 120 centimeters long from tip to handle, double-edged and blue in color with gold details and a blue jewel on the hilt. Where did you get that sword, Naruto? Urza asked, her eyes shining. After all, that was a sword that radiated power. Ascalon is one of the 3 Dragon Slayer weapons along with Belsirian and True Longinus. My mother gave it to me as a birthday present 2 years ago, Naruto explained, making Sasuke mock, causing Naruto to see him. Mommy gave you a sword to play with, I bet, he mocked, only for Naruto to draw the sword, causing Sasuke to bleed, and immediately after a dark laugh echoed throughout the forest, and immediately after a large sword was stuck into a tree, and on top of this stood a tall dark man about Kakashi's age with spiky hair and semi-slanted brown eyes. He isn't wearing a shirt and wears pants allied with warmers on his feet and hands. He also wears bandages around his face like a mask. Heavens, what do they teach them in Konoha? Calling Ascalon a toy sword is an insult. That sword is so sharp that just seeing the edge can cut you. That's why it was nicknamed, the man said, causing Hinata to speak. The nightmare of the Byakugan, Hinata screamed. Unlike Sasuke, she knew that sword, and when she saw it in Naruto's hands, she was scared and closed her eyes because many Hyuga in the past, including her great-grandfather, died by that sword. Oh, someone cultured. From your reaction you must be a Hyuga, but that doesn't matter. Mikazuki Naruto aka the Dragon King, is an honor for me to have the strongest and most feared man in Earthland before my eyes, said the bandaged man. I'd say the same, Mr. No Eyebrows, but I have no idea who you are, Naruto said as he sheathed Ascalon to rest it on his shoulder. I am Zabuza Momochi, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist. Gato hired me to take out that bridge builder. It's not personal. I hope you understand that it's part of the job. I speak with respect. He knew who to respect, and Naruto was one of the few people, aside from Meitorumi and the Swordsman of the Mist, whom I respected. I understand. Here one doesn't have the luxury of choosing one's job, however. I hope you understand that your mission and mine collide since I was hired to take Gato out of the map, he said while fully unsheathing Ascalon, and then assuming a fighting stance. Okay, I'll try, Zabuza said, then drew his tree sword and jumped to the side, where he performed a series of hand signs. Ninja art, mist concealment technique. After Zabuza completed the jutsu, an even thicker fog began to be felt in the place, and the other 5 adults took defensive positions with Kakashi and Kurenai taking a kunai each, Urza summoning 2 swords, Mira changing her arms to those of a demon, and Juvia creating 2 water whips in her hands. 6-point formation, protect the builder, Tazuna, Mito ordered as she unsheathed her katana, a beautiful 90-centimeter blade with a black handle. You can see, can't you, Mito? Naruto asked in a whisper, surprising Mito, who only praised him. We have a lot to talk about now, focused on the battle. My dragon eyes make me immune to this, and I know that Kurama-san doesn't give you senses comparable to mine. I regret not having done more for you when we were children. Now allow me to correct my mistake by fighting by your side. I whisper back, earning a smile from Naruto. It would be an honor for me, she said, and then she and Mito rushed into the fog. The next thing everyone saw left them speechless. Mito and Naruto's siblings, although only Kakashi and the fairies knew that, separated for more than 19 years on 2 different continents, were fighting in perfect synchrony, almost as if they were dancing. If Zabuza tried to hit Mito in the stomach, Naruto would block the blow and return it with his monstrous strength, allowing his sister to attack. If Zabuza tried to stab Naruto, Mito would intercept it with her sword and Naruto would hit him. Naruto was strong and forceful, while Mito was fast and precise in this fight. Kakashi couldn't help but smile, remembering an old talk he had with the previous Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi. Uzumaki, the strongest clan ever born in the nations, their teamwork was impeccable. Once during the Second War I saw 2 red-headed twins fight side by side, and it was the most beautiful fight I've ever seen, and Mito-sama once told me that the Uzumaki twins are so close that even if they are separated by decades, when they see each other again they will continue fighting in perfect harmony. I just hope my eyes can see those 2 being what they should always have been before leaving this world and joining my wife and sensei in the pure world. You may not see it, but I know I'll tell you everything, Sandame-sama. This is what Naruto and Mito were always meant to be, Kakashi said with a smile on his face, although the mask didn't allow him to show it to the world. Kurenai was confused. Mito refused to join the Ice Queens of Konoha, but here she was now fighting side by side with a stranger in perfect synchrony. Without a doubt she would have to tell this to her sensei. The fairies were happy. Mira's sensitive demon ear had heard Naruto conversing with her sister, and was happy to tell her harem sisters that Naruto, the man who had been suffering from guilt, now had the chance to make up for the mistake he made by hating her unjustifiably. Back in the fight, Naruto and Mito finally got Zabuza to where they wanted him, and with one last move they both attacked in perfect sync, and as if reading each other's minds they both attacked with the same attack. Uzumaki style, Twin Hurricane. They both chanted before beginning the most powerful attack of the Uzumaki Kenjutsu style, an attack that turned them into a violent red and gold hurricane that enveloped Zabuza, who screamed in pain as he received hundreds of cuts on his body. Damn, they're good, they didn't even give me time to prepare my attack, Zabuza said, growling. If he had been able to make his water clones, this wouldn't have ended like this. This ends here, Samuel. He said. Naruto had forgotten Zabuza's name. My name is Zabuza. Zabuza growled before feeling the worst pain of his life at the hands of the wounds on his body. I get it, Rosendo, Naruto said with a flat look, causing everyone to squirm. That doesn't even look like it, was everyone's thought, even Haku's. Hey, seriously, don't you remember the name? Kakashi asked. Zabuza had introduced himself no more than 30 minutes ago, and the fact that he forgot after I yelled it at him didn't help his image. Naruto-kun only remembers the names of those who earn his hatred or respect, and Zabuza didn't earn either, Urza said with a nervous smile. In Fiori there are many dark guilds that hate Naruto-sama for that, like Black Unicorn, Juvia said, making Urza remember the one-sided beating Naruto gave to that guild years ago, while the genin had the same reaction as Naruto when he saw them for the first time, laughing. Back with Naruto and Mito, they were preparing to deliver the final blow, but before they could do so, 3 Senbon pierced Zabuza's neck, and immediately afterward, a masked ninja appeared before them. "Thank you very much for weakening him. I've been following him for a long time and I wouldn't stand for someone else finishing him off. With your permission, I'll leave," he said, then took Zabuza's body and then left, leaving Mito and Naruto with flat faces at the obvious situation. "You're not hitting vital spots, are you?" Naruto asks. "There aren't many who hit in the neck and don't hit anyone," Mito said. "Pressure point induced fake death," Naruto said. "It seems they're definitely working together," Mito said. "They're going to come back with help," Naruto said. "No doubt. Should we tell them?" Mito asked. "Later. Now let's go back with the others and go to where the old man with the hat is," Naruto said, and then founded his sword just like Mito. "You seriously don't remember Zabuza's name?" Mito asked. "Whose?" Naruto replied, confirming Mito's theory. Chapter 9: Forgiveness and the Battle on the Bridge. After Naruto and Mito returned to the group, they simply told Tazuna/Kaiza to continue leading the way, something they did without question after everything they saw. Contradicting the twins would be the worst idea they could have. And after a few hours they finally arrived at the house of the old bridge builder, and thanks to the protection of the ninja and the magicians, the old man was able to get home with his daughter, who for some reason reminded Mito of her ex-mother's best friend, something that she told her brother in a whisper, although of course she said, "She looks like Mikoto-sama, don't you think?" But of course Naruto didn't remember who the hell Mikoto was, so he just got closer. Another thing that happened was the beautiful reunion between Kaiza and his wife. Naruto didn't quite understand the story of the fisherman with the woman named Tsunami, but hey, he wasn't one to talk. After all, he was dating an alcoholic, a girl made of water, a demon, an iced tsundere, and a redhead with a devilish temper. When Kaiza finished telling his story, how Nami's guardian saved him by sending the wave that crushed him, sending him to Fiori, where he worked for 2 years as a slave in order to get enough money to hire a group of magicians that would help them free Nami. It was time for introductions. Tazuna for his part introduced the teams, which received a thank you from Tsunami. Then Mito introduced herself as Mito Uzumaki, something that puzzled Naruto, but he decided he would ask later when it was time to talk. Naruto introduced himself as Mikadzuki Naruto and his group as Urza Scarlet, Mira Jane Strauss, and Juvia Loxer, and as the group that Kaiza hired to get Gato out of Nami no Kuni, something that Tsunami greatly appreciated. After a few hours and after everyone settled in, unfortunately for Juvia, she had to stay in a shared room, but not with her Naruto-sama but with the women, giving that she, Urza, Mira, Sakura, Hinata, Mito, and Kurenai will stay in one room, while Naruto, Kakashi, Shino, Kiba, Sasuke, and Sai will take the other available room. Or that would have been the case if it weren't for Naruto, who said he would camp outside since he wouldn't share a room unless it was with a pretty girl. After saying that, he simply used his re-equipped magic to summon a tent 3 meters wide, 4 meters long, and 1.5 meters high, that is, big enough for 4 people, a not at all subtle hint to his girlfriends to sleep with him during this whole mission, something they would of course take advantage of. While Naruto set up his tent, or tried to, since he had never set one up in his life, since if he were given the choice between camping and sleeping outdoors he would prefer the latter. The only reason he bought it was to have met the 3 children, and yet he never set it up because he always forced the dwarves to set it up, and like any stubborn man he threw away the instructions just a few seconds after opening the package. By force the dwarves I mean Sting and Rogue, while her brother suffered with the tent. Mito proceeded to give the news to everyone present. Zabuza is alive. He dropped the bomb, causing everyone except the fairy tale group to suspect him due to Naruto's frustrated reaction after the masked ninja took Zabuza away. But we saw how that masked boy killed him, Mito-sama, Sakura shouted, clearly scared. Don't yell at me, Sakura, I'm not like Kakashi and I don't tolerate insubordination. You're a pathetic genin, while I'm a jounin. Raise your voice one more time and I'll rip your tongue out and feed it to you, threatened Mito with the Kyuubi's voice, to Sakura's complete horror, who made a mental note to not speak again until this mission was over. Now, as I was saying, the fake ninja hunter uses Saban to cause a fake death induced by pressure points. he explained, causing everyone to open their eyes without exception. What are we doing? Sasuke wondered. I don't know about you and I don't care, I'm just going to see what I can do to entertain myself in the village, Mito said before standing up and leaving Tazuna's hunt. We don't work with men, if you'll excuse us with Naruto-kun, we'll plan a way to help this village, Urza said, then left and headed to Naruto with Juvia and Mira. Later, on the roof of the house. We can see how Naruto was sitting on the roof of the house while he watched his girlfriends and Kaiza divide the supplies that he and Kaiza had bought in Fiori so that tomorrow he and his group could distribute them around the town to the people who needed it most. And he would have continued watching if it weren't for some footsteps behind him that caught his attention, causing him to turn around to see his sister standing about 3 steps away. How much did you spend on those things? He asked before sitting next to his brother. Is that your best way to start a conversation? I asked somewhat mockingly. That was the first thing that came to mind, he answered honestly and simply, making Naruto laugh a little. It was about 10,000 jewels, or what would be about 250,000 ryos, Naruto said, surprising Mito. Wow, I knew the jewels were worth more than a ryo, but damn, I didn't expect that much, Mito said, amazed by the difference in value between the 2 coins. Our economy is much more stable. Trade, fishing, livestock, agriculture, everything is tightly controlled by the Magic Council, and every 2 or 3 months we have to give the king a very detailed report, Naruto explained. Are you a counselor? She asked in astonishment. No, I am a god of Ishgar and His Majesty's eyes and ears on the council. Although I also have a voice and a vote, I am not a true counselor. I explained your forced position on the Magic Council. Naru and I, what do you think of me? I asked myself, a little nervous to hear the answer. I'll be honest, until recently I hated you, he responded sharply, causing Mito's heart to break, or it would have if it weren't for what her brother said next. But recently, due to reasons that I won't tell you so as not to bore you, I did a scan of my life in Konoha. I can tell you that I hate Minato and Kushina, and if when they die I will throw the biggest party the world has ever seen, and if I have the chance I will dance the victory dance on their graves, but that's a separate topic. When I get to you, I saw no reason to hate you. You always helped me with whatever you could, even when I was in my blind rage. The day I left home I could see your eyes, you were scared and worried about me. You are my brother. What Hokage-sama and his wife did to you was not fair. We were both their children and they should have loved us equally, Mito said, surprising Naruto, but again it's been 19 years without verse. Sainara and I, what I will tell you I will not tell you to make you feel bad, but if we are going to try to be brothers again I have to be totally honest with you, she said with a tired tone before a few small tears came out of her eyes. After you left I went into a deep depression. For almost a whole year I was locked in my room crying, but exactly 1 year after you left I came to a conclusion. I blamed Minato and Kushina. I cut all my ties with them, even my last name stopped being Mito Namikaze and became Mito Uzumaki. I don't have a summoning contract, nor do I accept the training they wanted to give me. I strengthened myself so that one day I could find you, Buck. I didn't even learn Minato's damn Rasengan. Forgive me, he said in a barely understandable whisper, but Mito heard him perfectly. Why? Mito asked. I've been happy ever since I left Konoha. Well, there was a period of time where I wasn't, but that's a traumatic story I'd rather not tell, he said, bringing his hand to his artificial eye. The point is, I've been very happy. You don't have to apologize, you deserve to be happy, although I'm surprised you don't have a mustache anymore and that you now have those marks. Oh, that Celine Ka-san said that Kurama left remnants of his chakra in my being when Kushina was conceiving us, and over time my body and magic purged it, causing my whiskers to disappear along with that chakra, and these appeared when I completed my training as a dragon slayer, although according to Miraheim I look more viable with these than with the whiskers, she said, making Mito laugh a little because of the last part. After Naruto finished that sentence, both remained in a comfortable silence for a good 30 minutes, during which time Kaiza and the girls finished making the packages for the townspeople, causing Urza to signal Naruto to come down. Naru and I know you're happy in Fiori, but I want to be your sister again, give me a chance. My life is in Fiori, but I want you in it. When I get home I'll buy you a communication lacrima and send it to you by mail so you can talk to me whenever you want, Also Minato Baka invites us to the Chunin requirements, and I'll bring my cute and adorable little dragons to participate," he said before jumping to where his girlfriends were since Kaiza had gone to rest a little. "Yes, that would work," Mito said, then followed his brother. "And have you talked yet?" Mira asked, hoping to hear some good news. "Himes introduces me to my sister Mito Uzumaki, little sister, they are my girlfriends," he said, only to be pushed by Juvia, who took Mito's hands in hers. "Please bless Naruto-sama and Juvia's relationship," Juvia shouted as she took Mito's hand, who was surprised by the water mage's sudden outburst. Was the smartest thing Mito could say. "Why me?" she asks, confused. "Naruto refuses to introduce us to his mother, he says it's for our own good," Mira said, crossing her arms under her generous bust, making Mito feel depressed and curse the Uzumaki genes. "Believe me, look, Haim, it's for your own good. My mother will make you go through very, very horrible tests to see if you are worthy of being my companions. She loves me too much, and won't allow just any woman to marry her baby," Naruto said with a grim expression. "We are S-class magicians from Fairy Tail. We can handle whatever your mother plans for us," Urza said confidently, causing Naruto to pale. "Oh no, you shouldn't say that," he said, completely pale, confusing the four women. Meanwhile, on Dragon King Island, Celine was sitting quietly planning how to make her little brother Kaiser have a pretty mate when out of nowhere she felt a disturbance in the universe, almost as if someone was challenging her to do hellish tests for her son's future wives. "Amuri, Ruby, Altaria, time for the overprotective mother protocol, refusing to lose her baby," she said with a dark aura emanating from her body and a dark smile. "Amuri still thinks we should change or at least shorten the names of your protocols," Amuri said. "Who's the dragon goddess here?" Celine asked. "You are the blue-haired girl," replied. "Exactly, now help me plan the toughest tests I can put my potential daughters-in-law through," he said with a dark smile. "We'll need an impartial jury," Big Sister Altaria said, only to be hit by Ruby and Amuri. "Shut up, idiot, don't give him any ideas," they both shouted with shark teeth. "Where are the idiots with more muscle than brains we call brothers? Oh, and Naru-chan will be a great judge, too." After that question and statement, the barons of the Dragon King clan, including Naruto himself, felt they should escape as far away from Celine as possible. Back with Naruto and company. "Urzaheim, she has awakened a monster that knows when she is challenged," Naruto said, even paler than before. "Is Naruto-sama afraid of his mother?" Juvia said, to which Naruto just approached. "If you had lived with her on Dragon King Island for 6.5 years, you'd understand why I'm scared," Naruto said, then curled up on the ground, recalling the traumas cheered by his mother's hellish training. "Urza, if we die, I swear I'll resurrect to kill you," Mira said. "I'm sorry," was all the redhead said. "Oh, I wanted nephews," Mito said, not understanding a damn thing about what was happening, but she did understand that they were going to die. "I have an adopted daughter, is that helpful?" Naruto asked, still curled up on the floor. "I suppose it could work anyway. Calculate the time. With Zabuza's injuries he should be back on his feet in a few weeks. Even so, I think he won't come alone this time, and he won't only bring his partner," Mito said, to which the four mages nodded. "There's a chance he'll hire a dark guild. There are many who want revenge against Naruto-kun as a black unicorn," Urza said, causing Naruto to just start laughing. At the same time, in Zabuza's hideout, Gato was completely pale because he simply had come to confront Zabuza for failing to kill the bridge builder, but when the words "the new Red Devil" and the Dragon King were among those protecting them, his arrogant attitude was lost because Mito Uzumaki and Naruto Mikitsuki were monsters that couldn't be taken out with normal shinobi. Mito required an S-class ninja like Kakashi Hatake just to make her sweat, and Mikitsuki Naruto had never been defeated in his life. He had only tied in his fight against his friend, brother, and rival Gildarts Clive. "I see this complicates my plans a lot, but it doesn't make them impossible. I guess I'll have to turn to my contacts in Fiori. I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling," thought Zabuza and Haku. Later at Naruto and the girls' camping tent. In the camping tent we can see how Naruto is currently sitting in a semicircle dressed in red pajamas with blue moons while he and his white girlfriends watch the exclusive communication lacrima of Oration cease. Let me see if I understand. Gato contacted the Balam Alliance, and you agreed to come here to fight with us, Naruto said, making quotes in fight, to which Oration 6 just ascending. Why? We don't have a perfectly thought out plan anymore, Mira asked this time. It would be a good way to capture Sorano and have her tried and taken into fairy tale custody so she can be with her little sister. The rest of us will go along with the plan. He explained his reasons. Cobra. We know it's not how we planned it, but this way Angel's nightmare will end, Midnight said. What do you say? Naruto asked the three beauties. It would require a major effort on our part, but it's possible and wouldn't ruin the plan, Mira said. Not so much from me. I still want to hit them for hurting and making Grandpa Rob cry, Urza said with a look that would freeze hell. Juvia thinks we should do it, Naruto-sama. Juvia said she wanted Yukino, whom she had grown fond of, to have her sister back. If that's the case, then it's fine. The trip is long, travel carefully, Naruto said seriously, to which the Oration 6 just nodded. Older brother named Sorano. Thank you for doing this for me, she said with a smile that made her look even more beautiful. You're welcome. Now good night. Today was a long day, and we need to rest for a long day helping Nami's country, Naruto said, making Oration 6 smile. This was the older brother they admired. The next day at night, Naruto and company found themselves having dinner at Tsunami's table after having spent a long day helping out in whatever way they could around the village with the help of Mito and Kaiza. Everything was incredibly peaceful until out of nowhere a guy Romeo's age decided that he'd had enough and spoke up. Why are you trying so hard? Cat is going to kill you all, he shouted, surprising Kaiza. This wasn't the Inari he remembered, but that didn't matter. He simply turned to look at the guests, much to their delight. Naruto and the female magicians were completely calm, as were Mito and the two Jounin. Of course he won't kill us. I'm an Uchiha, an elite, he said, causing Sai to sigh. Not even his father's training en route prepared him for his teammates' idiocy, and he secretly wished that Naruto or Mito would put an end to him forever. No, stop playing heroes. You don't know suffering. You've surely lived a peaceful and happy life in your villages. He sealed his fate as Naruto's hair covered his eyes, giving him a terrifying appearance. Oh no! Urza, Juvia and Mira said they could stop what would happen, but the brat needed the lesson. I don't know suffering, Naruto said with his dark, demonic voice that terrified Inari. The one who doesn't know that is you. Now I will show you true suffering. Black arts, sands of time. He chanted, and immediately around him a large amount of black sand began to emerge, covering everyone. Once the black sand capsule was completely closed, Naruto showed his life without any exception. Everyone saw with horror and helplessness, except Sasuke for being an emo idiot unlike Rogue, who is just emo, how Naruto was mistreated and despised by his parents. They saw how he lost his will to fight when he was only 7 years old and ran away from home. They smiled when they saw how he found Selene and the other 12 Dragon Prince, although that happiness did not fade much when they saw the infernal training he underwent, the calls in the face of Kaiser to get him used to fire, the hours underwater that Amuri made him spend so he learned to breathe underwater, the discharges of millions of volts that Ghidorah threw at him, the beatings of Behemoth, the falls of hundreds of meters from Altaria, the glaciers where ice locked him up so he learned to be one with the cold, how Ruby forced him to hit diamond walls to harden his skin, how Cobra poisoned him with all kinds of toxins to make him immune to any poison, like Silvers beat him up and abandoned him with weapons, like Eden abandoned him in the forest without food or water to make him one with nature, like the twins Raijin and X's used him as a target for their magic to make him immune to light and darkness, and when they got to the mother they expected her to go easy on her son, but no, she was the worst of all. If Kaiser's calls were bad, the roar of the dragon god of the moon at point-blank range was. In Fairy Tail now understood why Naruto was so afraid of his mother. She was a demented sadist, and Mira discovered where her resistance came from after such training. That Naruto was able to please her all night even being drunk was not so surprising anymore. Then came his first dragon massacre, how he decided to live his lost childhood by turning into his 5-year-old self with a forbidden spell but with the power he had in his teenage form, how he met Urza, how she and he were kidnapped by Zeref's followers and their entire stay in the Tower of Heaven. How Urza was about to be raped by 3 fat pigs, of which 2 died at the hands of Naruto, making Sakura and Hinata's stomachs turn and Tsunami cry not for the unhappy they deserved. Die but for the poor girl, showed how he was then whipped by 50 blades courtesy of 10 whips before the eyes of all the slaves, as a group of hope formed to avoid falling into despair. The arrival of Jelal and the future oration ceased to his group. As because of Jelal the plan that in opinion of Kakashi and Kurenai was perfect but slow to execute was ruined, causing Urza to be taken before a powerless Naruto who could do nothing but cry, crying that stopped to give way to anger when he saw his friend without her right eye. As he tore out his eye and gave it to Urza, they saw his unilateral massacre of the guards of the Kakashi Tower, even wanted to vomit at such a display of carnage on his part. Those of Fairy Tail and Mito only whistled. It's not that Naruto's sadistic excited them, well, Mira a little, but in their eyes those deaths were more than deserved. Then they saw how Naruto blew up the island of the Tower of Heaven with an attack that scared everyone because it was a black lightning with golden flashes that was able to divide the sea in 2 and reduce the infernal island to nothing. Sasuke was no longer sure he wanted to force Naruto to train him. I say the guy mercilessly killed dark wizards and blew a damn island into pieces shortly after. They saw the trip to Fairy Tail where they left many friends and found a new one, and finally they arrived at Fairy Tail where the story finally ended. That is true suffering. Stop acting like an idiot, get up and fight like your father did for me. Kaiza and Tazuna are true heroes, and you are not worthy of calling yourself their son or Tazuna's grandson, he declared, still with his dark voice making Inari cry louder and run off to her room to cry. I think you were too harsh on him. He was just a kid, Kurenai said, not deigning to look him in the eye. After all, she was one of those who had favored Mito when they were at the academy. No, that wasn't the Inari I raised when I was here. This was necessary, so she'll learn that no matter what, you shouldn't give up and keep fighting, Kaiza declared calmly. And to Kurenai's surprise, Tazuna and his daughter agreed. Believe me, Kurenai, if my sources are correct, and believe me they are, we will face not only Rosendo but Oration Secundus, and the kid will not be able to keep hiding, Naruto said, causing Kakashi to choke on his food long enough for Naruto to see his face, but he wasn't very impressed. Prayer 6? Kakashi asked, scared. That was the 3rd strongest dark guild. And he still doesn't remember Zabuza's name, Nito thought with a drop of water on her neck at her brother's behavior. My sources say they were moving to this location, and as far as I remember, Gato is funding the Balam Alliance in exchange for protection, he explained, still completely calm. What's the Balam Alliance? And what about Prayer 6? Kiba asks. The Balam Alliance is a league of dark guilds. Every dark guild in Earthland is in that league, and the 3 strongest are Tartars, Grimoire Heart, and Oration Cease. They are called the 3 great dark guilds. The latter only has 6 members: Racer, Angel, the Demon Brothers Richard and Wally, the Living Nightmare Midnight, and the Poison Dragon Cobra. That's what we're facing, Naruto said, still calmly, but Kakashi and Kurenai were now terrified. Are they really that bad? A terrified Tsunami asked. Racer is an expert illusionist and possesses a magic that makes him lightning fast. Angel possesses the magic of the celestial spirit as well as the ability to summon angels. The first 2 Urza explained. The Demon Brothers Wally and Richard are experts in block magic and earth magic. Separately, they're powerful together, and they're nearly invincible, Mira explained. Cobra is a dragon hunter, and has a pet named Cubelios who is dead at the slightest touch of his fangs, Juvia said. And the worst of all is Midnight. His nightmare magic makes you live your worst nightmare, as if it were real, and he has never been seen fighting using his other 2 magics. Do you know much about them? A curious Kiba asked. I know them because I was the one who trained them, but they betrayed my trust and formed a dark guild, so when they come, I don't want any of you sticking your noses in. It's Fiori business, but above all, it's a family matter, Naruto said, causing his girlfriends to internally applaud his performance. Calm down, we won't interfere. If they are former apprentices of the Dragon King, then it's not something we can handle, Kurenai said, and Kakashi agreed, although Sasuke and Sakura didn't, But before either of them could say anything, a kunai was a few inches from their crotches, and a sweet smile from Mito silenced them. There are 6 of them. I have the level of an SS-class shinobi. It's not that I distrust their strength, but if they are as powerful as they say, they will ask for all the help possible. Mito said, to which Naruto apparently would have to explain the situation to Mito and Oration 6, but it was not something he could not accept. 1 week and 5 days later. The week passed peacefully. Inari stopped behaving like a coward to the point that he even asked Naruto to teach him how to use magic, something he received by giving him basic level fire and earth magic books. He didn't want the dwarf to get hurt or set fire to his house or the forest, something that Natsu had done a few dozen times when he trained with him years ago. For his part, Sasuke had also demanded that he train him since he was an Uchiha and deserved the power, but Naruto simply put him in a block of ice courtesy of Ice Make and threw him into the sea in the hope that he would be lost forever in the sea. Unfortunately, shortly after, Mito forced him to save him since Sasuke, unfortunately for both her and her brother, the emo Uchiha on duty was an important person in Konoha. On the bright side, after the incident, Kakashi forbade Sasuke to approach within 40 meters of the group of magicians, something that pissed him off, but he decided to accept. He needed Kakashi to become stronger. Now Kakashi's group along with Mito and the 4 magicians met on the bridge with Tazuna and Kaiza after having left Kurenai and her group at Tazuna's house in case Gato wanted to play hostages. Once they arrived, all the workers were asleep with expressions of terror on their faces, which made Naruto frown. When everything was over, he would scold Midnight for this. "Nightmares are beautiful, aren't you, big brother?" said a calm and serene voice coming from the mist, a mist that Naruto dispersed so he could see his enemies. "It's been a long time, Naruto Aniki," said the same voice as before, although it belonged to Midnight, who has a thin body build, spiky, black hair on top, and longer, white hair on the bottom. He has a set of 5 brown pearls braided from the right side of his hair. He wears a black leather vest with white fur-like material on the collar and sleeves. He also wears a white armband around his right bicep, and a black choker around his neck. He wears a pair of yellow pants with black patterns on them, and burgundy boots. There are studded bracelets on his wrists, and skull earrings on his ears. He even has eyeliner and dark, plum-colored lipstick. His lower eyelashes are also prominent. Midnight bears the red Oration Cease seal, printed on her right shoulder, and wears dark nail polish. Macbeth was all Naruto said with a look devoid of any emotion. "Looks like Big Brother is angry. Weren't you the one who said we should show the world what we could do with our prayers?" Cobra asked mockingly. "Oh, what a good actor he is," thought all the members of Fairy Tail and Mito. "I said that as the older brother I once was. I must correct that mistake," he said, and then just sighed. "Take control of the soul of the dragon, Asterion," Naruto chanted, and immediately his body changed to a different state than his Force Dragon. Now his hair was white as snow, his scales were blue, and on his back he had 2 frost wings. "Eric and Macbeth are mine," he said, and then launched himself against the 2 mentioned with a frost fist in each of his arms, which impacted the stomachs of the strongest duo of 6 prayer. Note Naruto's takeover powers his Slayer Dragon. For example, this powers the Arctic Dragon, but with the deficiency that he is unable to use the Solar Dragon and his other styles lose some power. Re-equip, Hisho no Yoroi. Urza sings to then re-equip herself with armor that is more like a fantasy suit having a leopard. Her heart takes a rather revealing shape, covering only her breasts, which has a leopard print, and the upper and lower areas of it is covered with a row of white fur. Her abdomen is exposed, and on her waist is a belt that holds a green cloth that weighs on her left leg. Her arms and legs are covered by a dark blue fabric. On her hands she wears silver bracelets. On her right arm she has a leopard print shoulder pad and a kind of shield. Likewise, on her right leg is also covered by a leopard knee pad. Finally, she wears high silver boots, and on the back of the armor, she wears a red tail, as well as a white fur collar, in addition to a pair of large leopard ears that adorn both sides of her head. "I'll take care of Racer." Soul of Satan. Mira chant, and immediately afterward her body changed completely. Her eyes became darker and her eyelashes larger. On her right eye and thigh scar-like marks appeared. Her hair became much wilder and her ponytail grew and now falls on her forehead. Her ears grew and became pointy. Her forearms became covered in scales and fin-like appendages grew out. Her clothing changed to a one-piece suit. "I'll take Angel, Juvia, Mito-san take care of Richard and Wally," she said and then attacked Sorano. "Juvia is almost an S-class mage. Mary Jane-san can't give her orders anymore," Juvia shouted, then simply grabbed Mito and headed to the siblings' place. "Man, Nero and I likes weirdos, he also dates an alcoholic and an exhibitionist," Mito thought without knowing it. In Fiori, a card magician and a blonde who was trying to get close to Naruto sneezed. "I swore we weren't friends, we were just allies," Kakashi said to Zabuza, who just shrugged. "Believe me, I really don't care now. I think it's more than obvious that he won't be able to fight them, but you're a different story," Zabuza said. "Haku, take care of the children," he ordered, then launched himself at Kakashi. Unbeknownst to them, they were observed about 900 meters away by someone who was waiting for his moment to appear. With Naruto, Cobra, and Macbeth. The strongest holy mage in all of Fiori was fighting his little brothers, and to his pleasant surprise both Eric and Macbeth were definitely S-level, not on the level of Laxus or Gildarts, but they would give Urza and Mira a run for their money. On top of that, they were also quite skilled in their magic and had teamwork only comparable to theirs with Juvia. If he attacked Eric, Macbeth would use his distortion shield to block the blow, allowing Eric to attack with his sound magic. If he tried to attack Macbeth, Eric would get in the way and Macbeth would counterattack with his darkness magic. It was true the fight was a farce, and if the god of Ishgar wasn't holding back, he could have finished Aura 6 by just using a Dragon Slayer spell, but he had to grant it they had become very strong. And he couldn't help but feel proud of them, but then again he was the strongest man in Ishgar and he had a reputation to uphold. "I grant you, you've become very strong, but this ends here. I see Wind of the Arctic Dragon," I chant, and behind him I create a gigantic magic circle from which a great current of cold air emerged in the shape of a great dragon which hit both magicians, and not even Macbeth's shield was able to stop it. When the wind ended, Cobra, Cubelios, and Macbeth were seen covered in frost and completely motionless. "Jibo Nasfidboth," Cobra said, clearly annoyed, or so Naruto understood, since freezing his lips made it difficult to understand his emotions. This wasn't part of the plan. "I know the plan was just Sorano, but I can't wait 3 more months to kick their asses for doing that stupid thing," he said simply. "Himsaifo Sadso?" Macbeth asked. "How long does this last?" "Don't worry, in about 15 or 20 minutes the frost will melt, and you'll be able to escape as was the original plan." "Fazengask I asked Cobra. "How do you understand us?" "I've frozen someone in the guild for a few times a week, so I've learned to understand them," he said as if it were no big deal. "Anyway, I'll go see the show. Take care of yourselves," he said, then waved goodbye, leaving a clearly satisfied Eric and Macbeth. They knew their brother had held back a lot, but they were satisfied with the fight and learned that they still had a long way to go. With Urza and Racer. The battle of the speedsters was also quite fierce. Despite being false, Racer as a lover of speed could not help but feel proud of being able to keep up with Urza in his fastest armor, and for her part Urza, although she wanted to kick Racer's ass, also felt proud that one of her little brothers was so skilled, but she was Tyranny, the queen of the fairies, not just any S-class mage, so deciding to put an end to this she simply took a good distance from Racer, and with her spell, Sonic Claws, put an end to the fight. "I'm sorry about this, Racer, but one of us had to lose," Urza said, to which Racer just listened. "Grandpa certainly wasn't wrong about you, brother. You are worthy of running alongside Naruto and Nikki. I know you should be able to get up in about 10 minutes, don't worry, we'll take care of Sorano," he whispered before changing into his normal armor and heading over to Tazuna, where, to his surprise, Naruto was already there. With Mira and Sorano, to Mira's surprise, Sorano was not at all the type of magician that Lucy was. She was not only capable of using star spirits, but also a great hand-to-hand combatant. So she took the fight to ranged magic, and with the sea water she crushed Sorano and left her out of combat, and finally returned to normal, and carried the unconscious magician back to where Urza and Naruto were. "I think she could help Lucy a lot," Mira whispered so only Naruto and Urza could hear her. Then she dropped Sorano to the ground, only to see strange silver chains surrounding her. "Forgive me, Angel, But it's to make the act believable, Naruto said in a whisper, then cut the chains coming out of his arm. Don't worry, she has no right to complain, and if she does, you can always ask her to file it in writing in the guild's complaint drawer, Urza said mockingly. What isn't the living incinerator called, Natsu? Naruto asked, and Urza just smiled. No doubt Naruto had to talk seriously with Urza. With Juvia, Mito, and the siblings. Mito and Juvia were having problems with the demon brothers, not because of power. Juvia alone is much stronger than both of them together. Her problem was teamwork. Juvia normally being a solitary mage who only works well as a team, with Naruto and Mito having the problem of being a solitary kunoichi who was never in her life able to work well with someone. For her part, the brothers Wally and Richard proved to be an unbeatable duo, as Mira had stated, because no matter how they attacked, Richard would always use his earth magic to defend his brother, who would attack with his 32 hits per second spell. Although unfortunately for both brothers, the redhead and bluehead decided they had enough of being beaten up and made their techniques more powerful. For their part, Juvia, who decided to attack Wally, performed a spell called Water Nebula, with which she took the block mage out of circulation. For her part, Mito performed a jutsu characteristic of the second Hokage, the Aquatic Dragon Fang Jutsu, with which she enclosed the Earth Mage in a water dome, which later took the form of dragon that rose into the sky to finally rush onto the bridge with great force. With their battle over, both mages returned to the group, seeing how they had been the last to finish their match, something that caused Mira to mock Juvia a little, but a quick reprimand from Urza and Naruto made her stop. Kakashi's battle and everything else will remain unchanged, mainly due to Naruto's disinterest in the shinobi continent. After the battle, Tazuna and the rest of the village celebrated the defeat of Gato at the hands of Zabuza's sacrifice, whose corpse was currently being burned to ashes along with that of his companion by Naruto. You may have lost your life today, Momochi Zabuza, but you earned the respect of Mikazuki Naruto, and as long as I live, I will never forget your name, Naruto said as he watched Zabuza's ashes fly in the wind. What will happen to his sword? Asked Mito, who was holding the Kubikira Kocho. It's your decision. It's too heavy and impractical for me to use. Urza doesn't like those kinds of swords, Naruto said, to which Mito only approached to carry the great sword on her back. Tried to convince Namikaze to send her to Kiri as a show of good faith. Now come, I heard the villagers planned a celebratory banquet for the cat's death, she said while putting her arm around her brother's neck, which was quite difficult considering Naruto was almost 2 feet taller than her. However, before Naruto could give an answer, he felt a terrible presence behind him, and turning as much as he could, he saw what he least wanted to see standing there on the other side of the bridge was his greatest enemy. Oh, you're leaving already, Naruto? Aren't you going to greet me? Asked an evil-looking man who has very long dark blue hair, somewhat similar to Gajil's hair, and has piercing green eyes covered with dark circles. He has dark skin, and on it he has several blue patterns similar to the colors he takes in his dragon form. He wears only pants and wears a black cape that covers his entire torso, since he apparently doesn't wear a shirt, and wears a necklace that sports several ornaments very similar to white magatamas. Acnologia, what are you doing here? Naruto asked in the same threatening tone as the mysterious man now identified as Acnologia. It's not obvious. True and false must collide 5 times before the true king rises over the world. He recited the final words of the prophecy, and immediately began to unleash an overwhelming amount of dark magical power that brought everyone present to their knees. If that's what you want, then we'll bring about Armageddon, Naruto replied before releasing his own magical power, which was as intense as Acnologia's, but this one wasn't dark but quite the opposite. Get out of the way, he ordered while glancing at all the villagers, the 3 magicians and the shinobi who, thanks to his kind power, were able to stand up. Naruto, what the hell is going on here? Urza screamed. I'll explain later, now go away now, he shouted again, making Urza flinch, but if Naruto was yelling at her it was for a good reason, so doing the wisest thing possible she grabbed Sorano's still unconscious body and started running back to the village with the girl in tow. You heard me, let's move, he ordered, and no one, not even Mito, contradicted him. After 10 minutes of running non-stop, Naruto finally decided to break the silence that he and Acnologia had been maintaining for a while. I'm surprised. I thought you would have attacked while they were here, he said, his tone denoting sincerity. I want to beat you, but with both of us on equal terms. After all, if I beat you while you hold back to avoid harming the human insects, it wouldn't be fun, he commented mockingly, and Naruto just sounded before surrounding his body with his magical power, just like Acnologia. Seconds passed with both of them being surrounded by their magical powers, and then there was simply a huge boom, and the human silhouettes of both of them began to change. The bodies became much larger, reaching almost 80 meters. The arms and legs transformed into legs. The heads changed shape, with the mouths and noses of both becoming snouts, and from the backs of both a huge pair of wings sprouted, and with the complete transformation simply Ryuer! They both roared, dispersing the auras that covered them. Naruto's body and mind had long since ceased to be human, but his heart had not. The body of the holy wizard was now that of a gigantic golden dragon with a black belly and golden claws adorning its legs, the front ones being much longer and sharper than the recipes. Its head still retains its markings, but like its dragon force, these have turned red and bright, and on each of its wings there are 6 Celtic symbols. On the right are the symbols for sun, marine, sky, earth, storm, and arctic, while on the left are crystal, silver, toxic, forest, sacred, and nocturnal. Acnologia, on the other hand, is now a huge dragon, larger than Kaiser 19 years ago, 50 meters. His entire upper body is covered in round, black scales, which are in turn decorated with spiral-shaped, blue scales. His lower body, specifically his belly, inner tail, and legs, is gray, and appears to be quite soft. He has a blunt, rounded head with 4 large, elongated horns extending back, and has small, white, glowing eyes. His mouth is filled with sharp teeth, and underneath is an elongated, downward-facing protuberance. He has enormous plate-like wings that cover his entire body, taking on a formation reminiscent of a bird's feathers. His large tail splits in 2 at its end, where the black plates disappear, and take on a double stinger-like appearance. You know as well as I do that this match will end in a draw. Let's just leave this clash like that and wait for the next one. Naruto tried to reason, but as a result he only got a rule, which he stopped thanks to a quick movement. He managed to put his crystal-covered wings in front of him like a shield. I'll assume that's a no, he said with resignation before fully spreading his wings, and with a powerful flap he rose into the air, and as he did so the sun mark on his wing began to shine. We take this fight to the heights, he said, and then rose above the clouds followed by Acnologia. Like you said before, let's cause Armageddon, Acnologia replied, then butted heads with Naruto, proving that they were both on complete equal footing. As I said before, Acnologia, at the moment our forces are equal. Even if we continue fighting, the only thing we'll achieve is a draw, Naruto said while continuing to butt heads with Acnologia, who seemed to ignore him. Faced with his rival's persistence, Naruto just snorted and decided that if Acnologia wanted to fight, then they would fight. On the ground all people saw were constant clashes of blue and gold magic, while in the sky, more specifically in the fight of the 2 Dragon Kings, the fight was possibly the biggest that has been seen in 400 years. Either of them would be ground if Naruto tried to bite Acnologia's neck. The 14th prince would hit him with the stingers of his tail, and Hito's would retreat. If Acnologia hit him with his claws, Naruto would answer with an elemental roar. Finally, after 12 continuous hours of fighting, we can see the 2 majestic creatures charging their final attack, which, in Naruto's words, would mark the second tie in the prophecy. Tie or not, who will emerge victorious in the end will be me, human child, said Acnologia, who was now concentrating a large amount of magic in his mouth. The murderer of his own father will never rise as king, he said while fully spreading his wings, showing how the 12 symbols on his wings had begun to shine, while in his mouth began to accumulate a great concentration of magic of 13 different colors. Maria no Hoko. Ju Sanria no Hoko. Both dragons launched their powerful roar with such intensity that the moment they collided it could be seen how the air around them was practically torn apart by the pure power. After a few minutes the raw power was simply no longer able to remain stable and exploded with enough force to knock out and send both contenders flying directly to the ground, although in Naruto's case, as he fell, he was gradually losing his dragon form. With the fairy tale group and company, no one believed what they saw. Seeing a dragon was something that very few lucky people could tell. Seeing 2 was something even rarer. But seeing two and seeing them fight was undoubtedly something that until today no one had ever seen and survived. But here they were watching not only the fight of two dragons but also the clash of the two kings. Everyone had different reactions. The villagers were terrified. They knew that if the black dragon won they would all die, but they had no idea what the golden one would do. Kakashi, Kurenai and the genin, except Emisuk, saw this in astonishment and fear, at least Kakashi and Kurenai, because these two dragons, just by feeling their powerful presences, could say that they were much more powerful than Kyuubi. Mito and the three conscious magicians who, when they saw the marks on the dragon's head, recognized him as Naruto, they saw this not with fear or astonishment but with concern. They knew that Naruto was powerful, but he had never before faced someone of Acnologia's level. However, that concern disappeared in the final attack when they saw the mass of energy explode and send the two gigantic and majestic beings flying straight to Earth. Although as if by fate, the golden dragon was not only gradually losing its draconic form and taking on a human appearance, but it was also falling just 100 meters from their position, so once it hit the ground, everyone went to see how it was doing. And as expected, as soon as they saw that the one in the crater was Naruto, the three magicians and Mito ran to see how he was, or Urza. Well, Naruto, you unhappy bastard, don't you dare die. You promised me you wouldn't leave me alone again. A tearful Urza screamed as she hugged Naruto with all her strength. And how do you expect me not to die if you're crushing my bones? Naruto's noticeably tired voice brought Urza back to reality. Naruto/Sama/Kun/Naru and I. The four women shouted with tears of happiness before throwing themselves at the blonde, who could only hold back a cry of pain so that the four of them could hug him. Not that I want to kill the moment, but what just happened? Kakashi asked. Acnologia, the false dragon king, his goal is to kill me, but he can't do it thanks to a prophecy that will make us tie 4 times regardless of whether one is more powerful than the other. Naruto explained while Urza and Mira helped him up. They won't get more out of me now, Himes. I'm tired and I want to sleep a little, he said with noticeable tiredness in his voice. It's okay, but you'll have a lot to explain when you wake up, Urza said, and Naruto just ascended.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic